Welcome back to Macrodosing special Thursday edition. This is like a Saturday night football, Thursday night football edition. We're doing it on a Thursday. It's Thursday morning. Do not adjust your calendars. We were not in the office on Monday. We were celebrating Labor Day. To all those who celebrate, hope you had a safe and happy holiday weekend. But we're back. We got the whole squad. We got Avery. We got Mad Dog, Big T, Billy, myself, Coley, Arian. Right off the bat, I want to clear something up here. Right now, Arian Foster is trending on Twitter. Arian, did you know that you were trending today?
What the fuck? What? No, I ain't been on.
What an alarmed face.
Yeah, you're trending. And it's my fault. I'm sorry.
I got trending.
I got you trending on Twitter completely accidentally, because this morning I saw that the Texans got rid of their cornerback Roby, and I was thinking, like, besides the running backs and the quarterback, I don't think I can name a single player on the Houston Texans. So I challenged people to name a single current Houston Texans player, and so many people guessed your name because they have no idea who's on the Houston Texans that your name started to trend.
You memed me into trending.
Well, I didn't know that was going to happen, but it just turns out that nobody knows shit about the Houston Texans right now. So
yeah, I keep it a buck. When I first signed to them, I didn't know anything, but the only person I knew was Andre Johnson. Like, it was the only person I knew, and that was just because he was like a all-pro. But like, other than that, I had no idea who was on the team. Like, didn't have a clue.
Mm-hmm. It was you. You played with Fitzy for a while, right? Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I played with him for a year. Yeah, for a year.
Word on the street is he's piped up. Can you confirm or deny?
What does piped up mean?
Hanging hog.
Hanging, yeah. Hung like a can of cream corn.
I don't remember his jump.
Okay.
I
I'm okay. I actually hope that he's not hung like a rhino, because you can't go to Harvard, be a good athlete, and also have a huge dick and be funny and have that great beard. Like, it's that old meme, like, one's got to go.
One's gotta go.
God smashed X on the huge dick button.
Yeah, I don't remember his jump, man. Sorry.
All right, that'll be a weekly segment, I think, on Macrodosing. Hey, what was this guy's dick like here?
Nah.
He's like, please, no, I'm all set.
We already pushing the mold with Big T's underwear, man. That's already getting weird, so.
That's true. That's a fact. Big T, how you feeling today?
I feel great. How are y'all?
Also feeling great. Let's get a vibe check just around the room real quick. Coley, how we doing?
I'm great.
I am hyped for today's episode. I think we got a banger in the books today.
Banger in the books. You heard it from
We're
Billy.
finally doing cryptids, something that was in the title sequence for the podcast, but we just have never done yet.
Mhm.
Cryptids are something that are very near and true to my heart.
Yeah.
So
Have you strike me as a kind of guy that you went looking for cryptids when you were younger
on the internet,
on the internet.
I was very limited in scope of the cryptids in a driving radius from myself.
So if you're not familiar with the term cryptids, it's like cryptozoology. It's the study of animals that are rumored to exist that some people say do not exist. Did I get that right, Billy?
Yep.
Want anything to add to it?
It is a great study and a part of academia that gets very overlooked time after time after time, even though it has the most anecdotal evidence.
Is it actually part of academia?
Not recognized by some merited colleges, but to those truly who study it, it is quite the course load.
Yeah. So I'm pumped to have this. Mad Dog, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Great.
Good.
Great. You sound very friendly today. Avery?
Yeah, very friendly.
I'm pumped. I think we're gonna have a great episode, and there's also something that we haven't talked about yet because we learned about it, but we're gonna be doing something else too for the podcast that's a little bit exciting for new listeners and current listeners as well.
Yes. Can we go ahead and say it?
Yeah, we could say it. We're gonna start doing 10-minute episodes as like something for new listeners. We're gonna release them later in the week, so now you get two different aspects of macrodosing. And I think we're gonna do voicemails, and we're also gonna do little topics, whether it's segments or something, we're just gonna throw different things at you guys and see what works.
So I was just thinking we could call it mini doses.
Yep.
You do mini doses. Micro
We
doses.
just micro.
Yeah, Michael Watson. That was
How about small sample size doses? How about that?
That right there was a major Antonio Clowntonio Brown situation where the answer was right in front of my face,
Seaspiracy.
and I didn't Seaspiracy. Yeah. Arian,
What
you do.
about small doses?
Yeah. Arian,
Doses and mimosas.
how are you doing? You good?
I'm doing exceptionally well. Actually, today's a good one, man. So
Exceptionally well.
Valorant came out with a new patch today. There's a new map,
Oh, wow.
and there's rumblings of a new agent being added. So I'm excited about that. They finally they nerfed Killjoy's turret, and that shit is fucking annoying. So happy for that. Sad for all the Killjoy mains out there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's probably like, what the fuck are you talking about? But if you play Valorant, yeah, I'm your guy.
What's Valorant? Is it a first person shooter?
Yeah, it's FPS, but it's like Overwatch meets CS:GO. So it's cats like with agents, or the player you select has different type of different abilities. Like you can throw smokes, one can build a wall, one can teleport, whatever the case may be. But it's like a real live action, so it's not like Call of Duty where you have to sit there and spray. It's like if you pop him in the head, he out of there.
Yeah.
It's like real gunplay, and so it's like those two mixed, and you have to plan a spike. It's really growing rapidly, and it's like it is my favorite game. I spend most of my time doing that actually.
Okay.
It's chaos to watch. Absolute chaos.
How many people play at a time?
It's 5v5, so 10 total.
All right, that sounds good. I might have to get involved in this. That might be like if we want to start a Twitch account for the show. Maybe I'll learn the game, hop on the sticks with you, and then you have to carry me. Well, I'll tell you this.
I will carry you. I will carry you. I'm gold 3 on my main. I have 2 Smurfs. I'm gold 3.
That sounds impressive.
I'm
gonna trust you on that one. 2 Smurfs. Wow.
You can't be Sand Smurf. You can't be Smurf.
Is 2 Smurfs? Is that too many Smurfs though?
A Smurf account is for like a lower account. Like it's like, because once you start getting higher rank, once you get like more skilled, it's harder to play with your friends who play it casually.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a lower account so that you can play with them and it still be fun without dealing with like toxic racist trolls all goddamn day.
Gotcha.
Because boy, they're out there.
Quick question: are there more of those trolls in the higher accounts or lower accounts?
I would say lower, because I think once you get higher, they take it more seriously. But I mean, they still there. Don't get me wrong. And it only comes out when you start losing. Like if you winning, it's kumbaya. But if you losing and you have a bad game, because everybody has a bad game, right? It's what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? You fucking done. And it gets worse as you lose. Yeah.
Yeah, I will definitely play with you. I stink at video games. I've gotten a couple dubs in Warzone just because I'm very, very good at ratting. Like just being a complete piece of shit.
Camping,
yeah. But I'll get like 4 kills, but they'll all be kills that like I set myself up in the right position. You'll never find me out of position. I'm like a slow white tight end, right? Like I'm not going to run away from it. You can't expect me to make any real plays, but I'm going to be your safety outlet pass, and I'll be where I'm supposed to be and not a step further.
point blank with
Perfect.
Mac 10.
There you
Perfect.
go. I had one other thing I wanted to get into today before we.
You know what I want to talk about?
What, Bill?
You guys see that story about the family in the Sierra National Forest that they shut down that section of the National Forest, but like they can't figure out why this whole family and their dog all just died?
No.
Yeah. I mean, we got to do an episode on this one day, but National Forest stuff, but this has been in the news. So there was a couple that was backpacking. They were like very experienced in, being in nature. They backpacked in the Himalayas, ridden camels through the Gobi deserts, Burning Man. They had their own hashtag. They're like travel bloggers. So they ended up being in the Sierra National Forest, and they just found them all dead, and the government has shut down the national park indefinitely to investigate what's going on. So, I mean, no one's really sure, but the weird thing is the dog is also actually dead, which is...
Arian, you were in California last week, right?
I was. I very much was.
All right, interesting. It's just
I'm not saying anything about the family. I definitely did not kill them.
Shoes on the other foot now, huh?
Hey man, it's well known I don't like dogs. If you want to try to link me to that murder, It's not the worst thing.
Okay.
So they think it may have to do with toxic algae blooms in the area, but there's a lot of speculation. That could just be a cover up. There's always been stories of these feral humans in national parks and just like people who just live out there because out of the scope of the government, former felons, people who escape prison. So that's also a possibility. That's a little more to the conspiracy theory, but I think it'd be definitely something that we should keep an eye on.
So the algae blooms, they create carbon monoxide, right?
Yeah.
And you'll see there's some lakes that have areas of like wildlife and trees around them that are all dead because the lake every now and again will emit just like a giant cloud of poison.
Yeah.
It's like out from the lake out of nowhere. That shit's scary.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I don't know. You can't really get close enough to study it that much, right?
Right. But also when you're outside, like a strong wind blows, like you should be able to get some oxygen to figure it out.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Agreed. Yeah, we should do some research. Do your own research into that. So for next week, when we're doing the mini dosing or the micro dosing episode, so I think the plan is we're going to record that as we record the rest of the show. Then we'll hang on to that, release that separately as like a specialized segment. Is that what we're thinking, Avery?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best approach. I'm assuming it'll probably be on, we'll usually release on Tuesdays. So yeah, I'd say probably Thursday or Friday it'll come out.
Okay. I like that little mini dose.
Yep.
So it's obviously 9/11 coming up this week in the 20th anniversary.
Just say micro. Why are you so opposed?
Micro dose.
You're pissing me off when you say mini dose. I'm just like, just went over it.
Mini micro?
Okay.
Mini micro dosing.
But I was just going to say it's going to be the 20th anniversary 9/11. I don't feel like that would be like the conspiracies around that. I don't feel like that would be good for a mini segment. That's something that we would probably,
that's got to be a full episode
because there's a lot of crazy shit out there that's happened, and a lot of conspiracies that are actually true about what happened on that day and leading up to that day. That would almost be like a two-parter that we would have to do. Also, I feel like doing that on the anniversary, it does, like, I don't know, at least in my eyes, it kind of minimizes what people that were in and around it, what they went through on that day. Like, that's their time that they remember, that they discuss what happened, and then we can, obviously discuss it. But I don't want to take away from what's going to be like a really sad day for a lot of those people, for just really like a lot of America. That has to go back and kind of relive that. But I do feel like it's a subject that we should get into in the near future.
It's big Darren Rovell energy to do it the day of.
Yeah,
exactly. Like, I'm not trying to monetize 9/11. Does that make sense?
Right. Who is Darren Rovell?
I'm so envious of you, Arian.
Yeah.
You are the luckiest man on earth.
Well, the only reason why it came across my radar because like somebody had like quote tweeted something and it had that little link on it, and I clicked on it. It says I blocked by him, but I have no idea who that is.
Darren Rovell blocks you?
Yeah, I don't even know who that is though.
Oh, that's such a Darren Rovell move.
Big T, can you just do like a search of any time that Arian has interacted with Darren to see if we can get to the bottom of this? Because I'm hoping it's like when Billy got blocked by the CRISPR dude for repeatedly asking him to engineer a larger frog. I'm hoping that there's something. I'm just gonna guess that Aaron, you probably got mad at Darren because Darren probably covered that program that you were in, that you helped start the business when you were one of the first athletes that could sell your future earnings as stock.
Oh, yeah.
My guess is that Darren probably had some things to say about that because that's like right in his wheelhouse.
So the only thing I'm seeing right now is from 2014. Darren Rovell tweeted, NFL beer sponsor Anheuser-Busch issues a strong statement, and it's talking about, we are not yet satisfied with the league's handling of behaviors that so clearly go against our own company culture, moral code, yada, yada, yada.
Wait. So Anheuser-Busch, the company that makes beer that kills like hundreds of thousands of people worldwide.
Yes.
I don't know the exact stats, probably the most deadly product. They were like, we condemn Roger Goodell's handling of the elevator incident.
We are disappointed.
From your friends
so that is what it is.
Your friends at Anheuser-Busch are against any sort of abusive relationships.
We are disappointed and increasingly concerned by the recent incidents that have overshadowed this NFL season. We're not satisfied with the league's handling. We've shared our concerns and expectations with the league. Arian quoted that and said, "LOL, okay, alcohol company." And that's the only thing I can find where he tweeted Darren Ravel.
That's like when Lockheed Martin was like, we strongly condemn the violence in the Armed Forces Bowl last year after there was that fight.
Yeah, that's the only one I see.
That pissed me off. So hold on, let's just dip into that real quick. Because that and for those that don't talk about, they talk about the Ray Rice incident where there was a domestic violence issue, right? And I take domestic violence very seriously because I grew up in a domestically violent household, right? And so when that shit happened, I wrote a letter to Roger Goodell, and I told him, like, yo, y'all are dropping the ball on this, because what you're doing is you're shunning somebody, right? I'm not saying his suspension should have been warranted, right? But what you're doing is you're shunning him and you're refusing to talk about the actual issue, right? Because it's not just NFL players that go through it. Police officers have high rates of domestic violence, firefighters, ex-military, congressmen. It's all over. It's a global, but more domestically, it's a national issue, right? And that could have been a huge opportunity to talk about domestic violence in a part where the whole nation was talking about it, and all they did was just try to sweep it under the rug and be like, no, we don't condone that. We don't want to talk about it. But like, no, dog, they totally dropped the ball on that shit. And all of that, everybody around it was just like, just doing shit like that, just like virtue signaling about how wrong it is. And like, it's a family issue that is like very deeply rooted in who I am, that I'm very passionate about. And I was just upset by how the whole situation was handled. Like, and Ray Rice was a very good friend of mine, but it was like, oh, that was just bullshit, man. But I don't know. I had to go for my little rant.
No, I appreciate that, because it is almost like impossible to parody Anheuser-Busch. The product, if you think of, if there's one product that's most closely linked to domestic violence situations across the country, beer would probably be one or two behind hard liquor. It's just alcohol. So yeah, it's ridiculous that every company was trying to cash in and be like, yeah, we're a good company too. Because Roger Goodell didn't like review that videotape of Ray Rice in the elevator.
Yeah. And the hypocrisy behind it wasn't that he got suspended, is that he got suspended beforehand, and then when the tape resurfaced, right? TMZ, by the way, TMZ is like the fucking, they're just like Big Brother. They are fucking everywhere. They get everything. It's insane. But anyway, so when they finally released the video, that's when they decided to suspend him indefinitely. Like, you had already seen the video, so it's not a moral issue. It's a public perception issue, and that's what I took issue with. And I was like, y'all are idiots. And I told him that, and that's another thing too. It's like, how the fuck can I get? And this at the time I'm a Pro Bowler. Like, how the fuck can I get a hold of Roger Goodell, dog? Like, I was trying to call him, called the offices, I called the NFLPA. I was like, yo, like, how do I get in touch with this dude? And then they had the nerve to be like, what do you need to talk to him for? Well, shut the fuck out of here! Like, give me his number.
We work at the same company. I'd like to talk to him.
Fuck, bro. That's why I was like kind of off the NFL in general, though. So.
Yep.
Anywho,
that does feel like it was ages ago, doesn't it? 2014.
Yeah, it was. It was almost 10 years ago, bro.
That's time. It's wild how time works.
We should do an episode on time, because that shit is actually fascinating.
Okay, I'm in. It'll just be like an hour of us talking about like how long ago certain events were, and then whether or not they're closer to other events.
Yeah, we did that last episode. Yeah. Cleopatra and Taco Bell.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah. Now you're really going to blow my mind. The other thing I wanted to talk about today, real quick, before we get into cryptids, I think that at this company, we should try to recreate the Milgram Experiment. Do you guys know what the Milgram Experiment was?
I don't.
The Milgram Experiment. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I've heard of this thing before, but it kind of refreshed my memory. The Milgram Experiment was when they got students at a college at Yale, and they brought them in under the pretense of, we're going to select you to either be a teacher or a student. And but they were all given the assignment of teacher, but they thought that they were given that assignment at random. They were put in a chair, and then they had another person walked into the room, strapped down to a chair, hooked up to electrodes, and then put behind a screen. And the administrator of the experiment would tell the student, you have to memorize these words that correspond to these other words. It's a memory test. When you get it wrong, the teacher will administer a 15-volt shock, a light shock, to correct you. And then if you get 2 in a row wrong, that increases to like 30 volts. And the person sitting in the chair, they thought that they were just like being told what to do by somebody that was running this experiment. They didn't know that the electrodes were actually not hooked up. It was all to see how far somebody would go just in the name of following orders, just because an authority person told you that you need to shock this person. And some people had got to the point, I think like 60% of the people went all the way to the end, which is like, I think it was a 500 volt shock that they were administering. And the person behind the screen was like yelling out loud, and they would pass out after it got up to 500 volts and stop responding entirely. Then they had to get shocked again. Mm-hmm. And I think that would be interesting to try to see who here at this company would go the furthest. Like, who would be the ones that would stand up and say, no, this isn't right.
So I didn't remember the name of the study when you first said it, but I actually remember listening to the audio, and because they play the same audio for every person. So the shocking and the guy yelling me like, ow, oh, that was bad. That was bad.
Yeah.
And then he suddenly, starts yelling really loud, asking for stop, and then just silence. Mm-hmm. And they're still shocking him, and it's just silence. And then they played some reactions, and the person shocked is like, is he okay? I mean, what should we do? And it's if we find the audio, maybe splice it in here and there.
It's loud. It's like, it's painful to listen to. It's not just like
No, I was gonna say, like, same with Billy. I didn't know the name of the experiment, but there's actually a movie about this too, as well. And that shit is actually fascinating. Just like the psychology behind it. It's like a moral test to see how far you would go, like you said, like authority, it's a fascinating shit.
And so if the person started to object, like the person that was doing the shocking, they're like, do I have to? There were 4 things that the administrator could say to them. The first was, please continue. The second, and then most people, just by hearing somebody go, please continue, most people would go, okay, I guess I'll shock him again. The second was, the experiment requires that you continue. And then if they objected a second time to it, it is absolutely essential that you continue. And then if they said no a third time, they would say, you have no other choice, you must go on. And most people just ended up going along with it, just through those words.
Jesus Christ.
I actually think that this experiment probably would have different results if it was conducted nowadays.
Why?
Because I feel that the youth is a lot, like the successive generations are a lot softer and a lot more questioning of
Billy's
authority.
Literally using the bad boy Pistons argument in Milgram Experiment.
Yeah. No, I'm serious.
I don't think so, man. I don't think so. I think it depends on what. I think you would have to tweak the test, right? Because that would work back in the 60s or 70s or whenever it's done. Like, but you tweak the test into like, I mean, think about it, fam. Like, everybody has like a podcast, a TikTok page, an Instagram page, and everybody has relatively like the same content. Like, we're all just doing what everybody's telling us to do now. Like, it's the same.
I do believe that this generation is way less capable of violence and dissociating from emotion.
But even using your argument, if we're a softer generation, in your own words, they're much more subservient and going to listen. I think we're going to get a higher number of people shocking.
More, what's the word? They're more rebelling and less tolerant of authority, but they're less emotionally. What's the word?
Well, I think you'd have to tweak it for sure. I think if you made it more along the lines of what a Black Mirror episode would look like, where you're taking away somebody's like, I don't know, like a Yelp review of a restaurant or something like that, or you're like removing followers from somebody's account, that would people would be more likely to do that, I think. I don't know, but I bet you there is a difference. There is a change over the generations. I just don't know what that change is going to be. Because you're all brought up in different environments.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, but I think this one is actually more, like Coley said, it's actually more subservient. But it's just they serve a different master. Yeah, like we served, like I was in my generation was more like authority, like meant something. Like you do what you're told, like that type of thing. Like this generation doesn't really do that. They're like more of like the social zeitgeist. Like that's their king. That's their
right. Yeah, I was thinking like how people pile on. So like if it wasn't one by one, if everyone were in the room simultaneously, I think all it would take is one to shift the entire room one way or the other.
You know, it'd be a good one. It would be actually, have you ever seen that movie? I forget what it is, where it's like when they look. There was it was like a serial killer. He would hook somebody up to like, let's say this like entrapment where there was like mad like lights. No. There was like a whole bunch of lights, right? And he like put it out on the internet and said, if nobody watches this person won't die. But more and more, like when you watch it and you tune in, the lights get brighter and brighter and brighter until it finally burns the person to death. But all people have to do is not watch it, and the cat won't die. But more and more people tune in, and it's like watching a train wreck, and all of a sudden dude dies. But it would have something like that, I guarantee, would show that it's probably worse nowadays than it was back then.
That's a crazy concept. I kind of like it.
I do think there's way more.
No, I kind of like
a movie.
That concept for a movie. Yeah.
No, it's like if I was to off somebody, it would be like that.
No, but it's like when they put a parental advisory sticker on the cover of an album. Does that make anybody want to buy it less? No, it makes me want to buy it like 10 times more. In fact, once I buy one of those, I look at the next one. I'm like, oh, they don't cuss as much in this one. This album's soft.
But
This
also,
is actually real quick. This is a really interesting tidbit because I got a couple albums out, and naturally I wanted to put the parental advisory sticker on there. So I did my first one. The second one I didn't have any curse words on it, but like the first one I did, and the second one I didn't. So you look into the history of that, it was merely to propagate traffic into your album. So people studied it and said that label, it's not required by any law. Like you do not have to put that on your album, but people did it originally because that was like controversial, and that drummed up and incited people to come and want to listen to your album, which is fucking wild. And people still do it today. Like my last album I released, I took it off because it fucked up the artwork. Right. And I didn't even know that I had an option until I actually looked into it. I was like, there's no law. I was like, fuck this shit.
the word I was looking for is empathetic, and I can't believe I didn't think of it, but I do believe that this generation in the society as a whole, American society at least, is a lot more empathetic. Like, for example, have you ever listened to some of like Eminem's like Slim Shady LP stuff, like Kim?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember listening.
Yeah, you like the old stuff, remember?
Yeah.
No, it's like like you couldn't play that for any like person today and them just be like, yeah, it's just music. Like, they'd be like, that's you know what I'm saying?
We could talk music all you want. My counter to you saying we're more empathetic would be the last 18 months.
Yeah. Like in the 1960s, when this experiment happened, there was a pandemic that occurred that never was really looked at, and people died. Mm-hmm. And like no one really, they just let it run its course.
Right. We're doing that now, is my point.
What do you mean?
I mean, everyone kind of hates each other now.
Yeah, we
like niggas won't wear masks,
more
bro,
than they've ever been as I'm speaking.
I actually think that if people just log off for a few days, their degree of hatred for their fellow man goes way, way down. I think the internet now is like, it's almost reached that point where it's a net negative. And I say that as somebody who relies almost entirely. I know Arian disagrees, but like things are getting bad. Things are getting bad in this country right now, where most people, I think, get along fine as long as they're cut off from whatever their most incendiary source of information is that gets them angry looking at a screen all day. If they cut that out of their lives, most people in general, day to day, are friendly and happy to be around each other and care about their fellow person. If they see somebody like in need on the street and they haven't been told in their brains for the last, like 2 days constantly, like that person on the street is your enemy. They start to forget that the longer they go without seeing that incendiary like rhetoric.
I would just to argue the point, because I hear that a lot on the internet, that like the internet's bad and it's just like, but it's just when you're on the internet, just like you said, right? If you look at the actual statistics, like crime rate is down, like if comparatively to historical, so crime rate, murder, all of abortions, high school dropouts, like all of this shit is down. The only thing that's up, like trend, and it always goes like this, but generally the averages are all down. But the only thing that's up is depression and suicide rates. And like that's telling, it's just saying, you're spending too much time comparing yourself to other people.
Mm-hmm. There's a part of the internet too where it's almost like because when I hear you say like when you log off, it's easier to be around people. It's like, yeah, because you don't know as much about that person. Like people put so much of their own lives on the internet. It's almost like we almost have to keep going deeper into it to get to the other side. because I don't think we can. It's almost like people thought white people thought racism died until Ferguson happened, and then it was like, well, where's all this been? No, it didn't die. It was just people were doing it quietly in their homes, like to themselves. And now it's back out on Broad Street, and it's like, well, we have this new racism problem. No, we don't. People are just talking about it more. Racists feel emboldened to be racist. So it's like, yeah, it's easier to be around people when you know way less about them. But I almost think we have to just fucking get through it. It's almost like a societal war. Like we just have to get through it. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose. And then on the other side of it, like, yeah, we'll be able to reset from there.
I think we need an entire movement like in the 60s where everybody just gets high for 6 years. And they're like, hey, I think we solved it just by taking a collective trip.
You should come with me, bro. One of my good friends is Neil Brennan. And for people that don't know, Neil Brennan is he was the co-writer of the Chappelle Show. Mm-hmm. He's like a brilliant comedian. He has one of the most brilliant stand-ups I've ever seen, 3 mics. But anyway, he hit me one day. He was like, yo, you need to try ayahuasca. And like I had always known about it or whatever, but he like told me his experience recently. And the reason why he told me, I reached out to him because he was on the Breakfast Club with Charlamagne and them. And he said that he was no longer atheist. That when he experienced what he experienced on this drug or this hallucinogen, that it changed his belief in a higher power. And he was explaining it to me. It still sounded kooky. And he was like, dog, I know it sounds kooky, but it's just something you have to experience. I'm all for it. I would love to see the eyes of the creator, if there is one. But you should do it with me, dog. It's a ceremony, like you do it with a shaman, like you do it around, like you make sure that you're in a comfortable environment. I told him I'm not doing it without him because like he's the one that introduced me. He's like, it's all good. And he's always inviting people. It would be fun if y'all at all, any of y'all, but like PFT, if you want to rock, that should be fun.
So I've heard about ayahuasca before. My big concern about it is I was down in Ecuador like 10 years ago, I think. And I went on a trip through the rainforest, and the local guide there, he was a Quechua guy, and his family had been in that area of the rainforest for generations. He walked us by the ayahuasca root, pointed it out to us, and he's like, this is the tree that you boil, you make the tea, and then people drink it, you hallucinate. I was like, have you ever tried it? He goes, fuck no. He was like, none of the locals ever try this shit. It's just people that come from outside the country. There's like 1 or 2 shamans that, you know, they're known for making it, and so they'll take it occasionally. But he was telling me that nobody from that actual area does. I've heard that it's really beneficial if you have addiction problems or if there's something that you're trying to overcome, like significant trauma in your past, you're trying to move on. I've heard it can be good, but I also heard that people they do it recreationally, you know, like a couple times a year, and it just turns them nuts. But again, like I don't think that there's been any real studies done on ayahuasca.
Also, like you may see God, but you also may see the devil, and that's a coin flip that, you know, might not be worth it.
Good point. You might see
that nigga probably cool as hell.
You might see a cryptid,
or the stories might be true.
Yeah. You might see an animal walking around in the rainforest that you didn't think actually existed. Coley, I know. So full disclosure, Coley's got to go. He's got to go record the dozen in a second. But Coley, if you get a FaceTime that you think that one of us would be a good use for, we'll answer it live on the show.
I love that.
But if you, so we were all talking about different cryptids that we could look up for today's show. Do you want to just get in real quick to yours?
Yeah, there were 2. I mean, there are a lot that I felt like I knew and had heard of. But when I was actually like digging into it a little bit, I wanted to find a local one to me where I grew up. And then I found one in Ireland too that I thought was pretty interesting. But the local one was the Dover demon, Dover Mass, like super, if I'm remembering correctly, because I'm not from there obviously, but like very affluent area, like crazy. Like I'm pretty sure Ernie Bach Jr.'s lives out there, which no one on this show knows what that means, but he owns like every car dealership in New England. So he's one of the richest people alive. And it's like, there were 3 different people. What I haven't been able to find is if these people knew each other prior to these sightings, because they were all like 15, 17 from the same town. So I don't know if the Boston Globe just did a shit job actually reporting this story, because it doesn't really say if they were like friends or could have concocted this story together. But like a lot of these, like all at night, glowing eyes, like round head, it kind of sounds like Za when he was talking about his encounter with aliens in Zimbabwe. And it's really interesting to me that this happened only in April of 1977 and really hasn't been any sightings since. I almost feel like that gives it more validity than less. When you hear about Bigfoot with like 100 years straight of people have seen Bigfoot, that doesn't add up to me. 1 week where this guy was hanging around, posted up on like a gargoyle on different walls and just like jumping on a car to scare someone and then running off, like that almost makes it seem more real to me. Like, yeah, this guy was out here. These people aren't immortals. He was here for a little bit. 3 people caught him, and that was it. He vanished into the night. I think that adds some validity to it.
I kind of agree with that, because if it was a hoax, and let's just say you had like a costume or whatever, and you put it on, and you went out and you fooled a series of kids one weekend, it made all the news. You were in the fucking, what did you say, the Boston Globe?
Yeah,
they did like an investigative report. You would probably want to lay low for a little bit, but you'd be riding so high off the thrill of that one weekend that you duped the Boston Globe, that at some point, like 5-10 years in the future, you'd look at that costume hanging up in your closet and you'd be like, what if I just ran it back one time? You know, like you would think about bringing like even Harper Lee wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, then she dropped that shit To Kill a Watchman on us a couple years ago. Like, you can't be a hermit forever, you know,
right.
If you pull something off like that. I don't see anybody just walking away from the cryptid game, from the fraud game, and not coming back later on to try to see if they still got the magic.
Yeah, that's like doing heroin 3 times and being like, not for me. Like, that's just not how it works.
Yeah. It must be such a rush, though, to like fake a bunch of kids out and scare them.
I had somebody tell me about cocaine, that actually it's hilarious. That I was like, have you ever done cocaine? I was like, yeah, I've done it like 5 times, and it's like that not my thing. I'm like, five you did it 5 times and it's not your thing? Like, how did you come to that conclusion so fast? Like,
I'm going to take that person's side with cocaine only. If we were talking about something else, like I don't know, I did it for like 4 months. It wasn't for me.
I also feel like if you say about 5 times when it comes to cocaine, you have to do coke math. It's like when you ask your girlfriend, like, seriously, how many dudes? What's your number? Like, I think it's like times 6 is probably the accurate coke math on that. If you say you've done it 5 times, you've probably done it 30.
I know this is off topic, but that's a serious question I've always pondered. Should you or should you not ask your girl what her number is?
Why would you ever want to have that conversation? No. Why? She doesn't want to know about you.
What's the benefit?
There's no good outcomes. Yeah.
I agree 1,000%. I was just wondering, because I've seen a lot, like it can deteriorate a man's soul for some reason, right? But like, and if she was to ask your number, it's like, oh, it's like 100 times that or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't. It's not the same thing to you. Yeah, it's not the same. Well, mine is, yeah, for sure. I've definitely lived a life. That's for sure.
What's higher, your credit score or your body count? Don't answer that.
The better question is, are you happy?
Yeah, that's
in the relationship.
Billy,
boom.
Look at introspective Billy. What about like, you're growing up, man?
Yeah, dude.
It's a very
right before our eyes.
It's a very healthy way to think about a relationship, Billy. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I do not. For the record, I do not think that men should ask that of their women. 1, it's none of your fucking business, but 2, it's not gonna do nothing for you, doggy. Like, it's just gonna sit in the back of your mind. Like, well, who are they? And that's gonna lead to that, and it's gonna be bad, man. Don't do it.
So the Dover Devil, that's just is that what it's called?
The demon.
The Dover Demon. That's a cool name.
It is. And it, like, what's really fucked up is the guy, the first kid who reported it, I believe he was 17, the first one. Yeah, the first one, Bill Bartlett. He was the first one who like reported it. All 3 of the kids who had the sightings had to like draw it, very much like Zod and all of his classmates like had to draw it. And he signed his drawing, I swear, on a stack of Bibles, which Massachusetts 1977 meant like, you can gun me down in the streets if I'm lying. Like, there's nothing more sacred than the Bible in Massachusetts 1977. He was like, I swear on a stack of Bibles that this is exactly what I saw. And when they interviewed him in 2006, and he said then, like, I wish I had just never said anything, because he's terrified of Halloween because of how many calls he gets. Like, you can't Google his name without Dover Demon coming up. Like, he's almost the most haunted by a potential fake thing of all time. Like, this thing has followed him without actually following him for 40, 50 years now.
Yeah, you'd almost rather everybody else have seen it.
You know, you think it was just the Jersey Devil on vacation? He was up there for a Patriots game.
Yeah, just hitting up. He had some family in the area.
The Jets were playing.
Let's see, when is this? It was April 21st, so probably not an away game.
Yeah.
But maybe he's summering. Maybe he was on his way.
Maybe he's
out to the Cape
watching the Celtics.
Yeah, Bill Bartlett.
Celtics were terrible in 7. Yeah, were they?
Jersey Devil is another weird one. Has a lot of similar connotations as the Dover Demon,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but actually it has its origins in a mother leads his 13th child. Basically, on a farmhouse, this woman had 13 children, and the 13th came out with bat wings and was the color of charcoal and was just like some demon baby. And then it grew up to be the Jersey Devil. They said they like tried to get rid of the body, but ended up just being a devil.
So did it fly?
Apparently, all the sightings of the Jersey Devil, it flies around the swamps of Jersey, and like a lot of people see it. But very
All right, we're getting into cryptids. Before we do, bird dog shorts. Bird dog shorts are the best shorts in the entire world. I'm wearing my bird dog's swimsuit shorts actually right now as we speak. Scott, let's see. What's on this? Like some sort of duck with wings and a trident. Was wearing these all summer long at the beach. I love bird dog shorts. I love their swimsuits. Arian, what do you wear to work out? Do you have like a brand of athletic short that you typically wear?
Yeah. So I usually wear Nike. That's what I usually wear. I go to Nike. I recently bought some Adidas. That's okay.
Okay, let me blow your mind, because bird dogs are far superior. This is no joke. Like, whenever I go to the gym, I no longer wear athletic shorts. I wear bird dogs now because they feel like athletic shorts. They can look like athletic shorts or like stuff that you can wear to the office, but they've got a built-in boxer brief underwear lining. So when you go to work out, you don't have to worry about getting a pair of underwear dirty, packing another pair of underwear that you have to change into after you hit the gym. I can go to the gym in one pair of bird dogs, change, shower, put on a different pair of bird dogs. I don't have to worry about packing that second pair of underwear. Don't have to worry about rolling up like stinky, sweaty underwear, putting it into my gym bag. It saves space, saves time. Billy, you were about to say something?
As someone who's started to pay for their own laundry, they have been a huge asset that you don't have to do your underwear every single time.
Yep.
You can just cut down on laundry.
That's a good point, Billy.
It's cost efficient.
It's cost efficient, and it saves space. You know what? It saves the environment too.
The
because you're
linings,
using less water.
And the linings do provide the support you need.
They absolutely do.
If you're a compressions guy.
They absolutely do. They're great. They're the perfect shorts for working out. You can also wear them to the office. You can wear them out on the town. You can wear them anywhere. They're the most versatile product in the world. They've got the built-in underwear. They even have pants and joggers with built-in silky soft underwear. I need to get my hands on those. They stole Lululemon's designer, and now they're just doing it way, way better. It's elite shorts. The pants blow the Lululemon ABC and commission pants out of the water. They're the only pants that you should own.
You can do a squat in their pants. You can wear the pants to work, go to the gym right after work out in them, and it's one pair of laundry.
I love it. The Swiss Army knife of pants.
It's awesome.
Bird dogs. And we have one of the best podcast promos that we've ever run. If you go to birddogs.com and you enter promo code MACRO, they're going to throw in a free Bird Dogs whistle football. You remember the Nerf Vortex Howler footballs that whistle when you throw them? It's that. It's the must-have beach toy. It's great for backyard barbecues. I had one this summer. It's the best toy that I've ever owned. It's the greatest toy of all time. You can throw them. I think Hank threw one like 77 yards, so you can really let it fly. It's like the Nerf Vortex Howler football. It makes that nice whistle. So go to birddogs.com, promo code MACRO. Boom, you get a free Bird Dogs football. with your pair of bird dogs. You will not take these things off unless it's to put on another pair of bird dogs. I promise you.
Similar to the Dover Demon.
Does that have anything to do with the name of the hockey team?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Garbage team.
Garbage trash franchise, trash organization.
Whoa! What is the? I don't understand the haste. What is it?
Oh no, just because we both root for different teams that play against the Devils a lot. There's really no reason.
I'm from.
Who's your team?
Avery is a Rangers fan. I'm a Caps fan.
Got you.
I'm from Jersey. All my friends are Devils fans. I fucking hate them. They're awful.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's real. It's real animosity. But
I was going to go on a hockey tangent, but go ahead.
I was going to ask Billy about the New Jersey Devil a little bit more. Why did it ever do anything bad to anybody? Why are people afraid of it?
It's just flying around, big wings, creeping people out.
So it's like a giant bat.
Yeah, it's a giant bat. So basically it's supposed to look exactly like, goat's head, bat wings, forked tail, growling and screaming. The child beat everyone with its tail before flying up the chimney and heading to the pines. In some versions of the tale, Mother Leeds was supposedly a witch and the child's father was the devil. So I think it's right in there with like early colonial witchcraft, Salem witch trials type stuff. So, hey, but I think it was just scaring people. It could have probably been an owl. Because that's I try to find the logical explanation. When I can't for certain cryptids, then I'm like, that's a goddamn cryptid, like that's real. But owls actually have shown to be a lot of explanations for stuff at night because their wingspans are much larger than people think, and when they swoop towards you, there's a lot of distance spatial recognition, like you think it's a lot farther than you, but it's closer, so it looks bigger. And also baby owls look exactly like aliens.
Yeah.
So
owls are really trippy animals.
Yeah.
And when they dive at you at night or dive near you, the sound that their wings make, that's enough to like spook you a little bit too. Because like it can be really, really silent. Then they get close and you hear the sound of those wings flapping. Yeah. It's crazy. There were owls that lived next to me when I lived in Austin. We had these owl boxes set up in this park right by my house. And so they would be there during the day. You would hear them like around dusk start to do their little hoots, and then they would go hunting at night. They're crazy animals. I feel like we don't respect owls enough as a society.
Also,
I've never had an owl encounter, actually.
You probably think it was a devil when it swooped down. It's like one of those things that is comparatively, you don't think they're that big in person, like a moose. And then when you see them in person, you're like, holy shit, that is an absolute unit.
An eagle did that to me. There was an eagle. I saw an eagle in my backyard. That motherfucking thing is huge, bro. I had no idea how big they were. Them things are huge.
So imagine, you're in the 1700s. You came from Europe. All the owls in Europe were just small, European. Didn't have the wilderness or wild, like open air to fully grow to their potential because
like they're goldfish, like it'll grow to the size of its tank. And in the United States, there's more square miles for it to grow into.
Then you come see some American owls and you're like, holy shit, this is witchcraft.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uncertainty.
Yeah. People used to jump real fast to the whole witchcraft explanation for anything that they saw. But I kind of understand it. If let's just say it's the year 1200 and you're on a ship and you're sailing, I don't know, to Iceland and you see the Northern Lights appear. You would think that that's God or heaven, right?
Yeah.
Like what would be the first explanation that would enter?
Well, to be fair, you can see the Northern Lights from like Norway and Sweden. So all the people going to Iceland already kind of saw them, but they also thought there was something crazy going on in the sky.
Probably thought it was Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Columbus tried to fuck a manatee.
What?
Have we spoken about this?
I don't.
No, I've never heard of that.
I don't think
before.
so. Hey, all right, I'm calling it right now. This is this week's Fact or Cap segment. Arian, get ready to make your judgment one way or the other.
I got you. Go ahead, Billy.
So basically, Columbus came to the New World, was cruising around, Hispaniola, up into Florida, what's now Florida, and basically he saw a manatee, and he was like, mermaids are much more mannish than they are in folklore. They have like whiskers and beards, and he was like, he didn't actually try to fuck it, but like,
so Billy,
he was horny enough to think a manatee was a mermaid.
Okay,
which
got it.
Means he's trying to fuck it.
Yeah, I was gonna call cap on it when he said it, but yeah.
All right.
That was a little, I went a little extreme on that, but it's implied that, sailors want to fuck mermaids, and Columbus being like, there's a mermaid right there. It's got a beard though.
Mhm.
That means he was thinking about it.
He was, he
thought about it.
After a couple months at sea,
Yeah, he thought about it.
even a walrus, like, yeah, you start looking at those tusks and you're like, pegging might not be so bad. Big T, are there any cryptids that are endemic to the Appalachian Mountains or Smoky Mountains that you know of?
Not that I know of.
You ever hear about the Mothman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna do that one, but I chose another one.
All right, talk about it. I don't really know that much about the Mothman.
I don't know shit about it. I saw it and I was like, that looks interesting, but I picked another one.
I think it's the same sort of premise as the Jersey Devil, just like something flying around at night.
No, the Mothman's a little bit different. The Mothman appeared in West Virginia for the first time. I want to say like 60, 70 years ago. My time frame is probably a little bit off on that.
1967.
1967. So that's almost 60 years ago. That's actually closer to when William McKinley was assassinated than it is to today. That's wild to think about.
The first newspaper report about it was in the Point Pleasant Register, and the headline was "Couple sees man-sized bird, ellipses, creature, ellipses, something."
Yeah. So what happened was somebody pulled over on the side of the road. There was somebody that was like working on a vehicle of some type, and the person appeared, stared at them, and it was not a human being. There was something strange about him. There are also stories about the Mothman appearing where they are on board some sort of like flying object that has crashed to Earth, and the Mothman steps out, and it looks kind of like a moth or a man or a bird. But it's appeared several times in West Virginia over the course of the last 60 years, and there hasn't been a good explanation. And it's a wide variety of people that have seen it. Some people coming from like upper class backgrounds, some from lower class. Like it cuts across a tremendous, like a wide swath of all the demographics in this part of West Virginia. And they made that movie about it, the Mothman Prophecies.
Huh. There was a petition in June of 2020 to replace all Confederate statues in the United States with statues of Mothman. As of June 2021, the petition has garnered nearly 19,000 signatures.
Okay.
Actually, statues of cryptids would actually be pretty funny. Just be like, this is what it looks like if you see one, so everyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
Would
Yeah.
be great.
I'm still on board. Like statues are stupid just in general. Like why are you gonna make a statue of somebody?
You see, the only one who wants the statue is the person.
No, I
Would you want a statue of yourself?
absolutely not. Would you want a statue of yourself?
If it did something cool.
Yeah, but you probably would look weird. Like
True.
Yeah, you'd probably somebody would be like, "Yeah, Billy, I'll make a statue of you," and then it's you like just chowing down on like green beans and lettuce, and be like, "Here's Billy the vegan."
Hang on, you're on record. You don't want a statue.
I do not. Let me say, I disavow any future statues besides a bust in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
So you
That's
do want
still
a
a statue. That come on,
It's a bust.
it's a bust.
That's definitely a statue,
Just
man.
neck up.
All right,
It's a micro statue.
You busted too quick.
I withdraw my name from consideration for the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Brave.
I let it be known I'm the only one on this podcast that has done that.
I still might make it.
Yep, one day. No, I think
Actually, someone.
I think statues are dumb in general. Do you, Big T, you like statues?
If you wanted to build a statue of me, I wouldn't stop you.
Okay.
Now hold on, Big T. I be trying to ride with you, man, but that's idolatry.
Oh, good point, Arian.
You're not necessarily incorrect, but like if
Come on, man.
if
This is
I-
about a statue.
I'm down with statues.
Wow.
When was the last time you went out of your way to look at a statue?
When we were in Philly last year, I went to look at some statues.
The Rocky statue, maybe?
They have a Rocky statue. That might be the single most idiotic shit that humans have done. Like we built a fucking statue about a fictional fucking character.
It's
dog.
pretty cool though.
Before they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago, they didn't really have much else. So
That's just dumb. That is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. I didn't know because I went to Philly. I had groin surgery in 2015, and like the best doctor in the country for that specific surgery is in Philly. And so I stayed like a week, 2 weeks there, something like that. And I was just like touring the city, and I didn't think, you see it. I guess I just never put two and two together. Like I never thought much about Philadelphia. I never ever had a reason to. I seen that shit. I was like, why the fuck is Sylvester Stallone in fucking Philadelphia, bro? It's weird. Beyond weird.
They used to be the capital of the United States, and they moved it, and they took that away from it. So
It's true.
yeah,
It's
so,
true.
So rocky it is.
Yep.
Liberty Bell, cheesesteaks, Rocky, and one Super Bowl.
I'd rather have a statue of a cheesesteak than fucking Rocky, bro.
I would too. Honestly, cheesesteaks are delicious.
I love cheesesteaks.
Cheesesteaks are my number 2 behind buffalo wings.
And
Really?
the two biggest, like, that's the dope part when I went to Philly. The two, like, the battling cheesesteak makers, I forget, it's like Sal's or something like that. And then but right across the street is the other one. And those are like the two biggest cheesesteak places in Philly that they told us to go to. And they're like right across the street from each other. I thought that was dope.
I'm looking up more things about the Mothman. Mothman is something that we should probably have. I want to get KB or Nick on to discuss because they're from West Virginia. So they probably have all sorts of like folklore that they grew up with around there. But there's 55 reported sightings of the Mothman in different places in West Virginia, primarily stationed Point Pleasant, I think.
It doesn't seem like that much for it to be a folklore. 55?
Yeah, but it again, it's kind of like what Coley was talking about. It was like a year where it was spotted there, and then they never saw it again. So, yeah, gonna have to dig a little bit deeper into the Mothman. That's one that's always stood out to me. But every podcast that I've looked at for the Mothman, it's like 9 episodes because there's so much that they get into and different people that they interview. There's actually like a lot of background story and things that they've fact checked. Where it seems something weird definitely happened in Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 1967. They're just not sure what it was.
There was a military base close to it, so there could have been some testing of some weird aircraft. But another one of those flying cryptids from America, the Thunderbird. So basically a giant condor that has a bunch of bases in Native American culture, real-time sites, and a lot of pilots who were flying like small planes around Northern California or up the Pacific Northwest say they see these gigantic condors that are just as big as their planes. And
I love the concept of the Thunderbird.
Oh, the
I think
Thunderbird's great.
Thunderbirds are fucking awesome.
Like, and they supposedly, when they caw, they like sound like thunder.
Yeah,
That's just like metal as fuck. It's sick.
It is metal. There you go. Big T, what was yours that you wanted to discuss?
That's a nice call, Billy.
Try.
So my cryptid is Makele Mbembe, which is a sauropod dinosaur-like creature in the Congo River Basin. And in the early
Say that name one more time.
Makele Mbembe, MOKELE-MBEMBE.
Gotcha.
And this guy named Carl Hagenbach was one of the first to talk about what he believed was a dinosaur-like creature living in the Congo, and he was actually he was an interesting dude. He like supplied wild animals to zoos and also P.T. Barnum, so he was an interesting character. But
wait, so this person was in the business of like making up weird animals.
So there had been like tribal reports of it, I believe, before that, and then he went there as part of. But yes, he was into that, dealings of
the kind of
sort.
person that would like sew a dead snake's head onto the side of another snake, and for a week he'd be like, "Come look at this crazy 2-headed snake" until it died. That's kind of like okay.
Well, I don't know if how much he was involved in that, but he supplied animals to P.T. Barnum.
Gotcha. The guy who said there's a sucker born every minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're talking about fake animals.
Yeah. Let's bring it on.
Hey, they're real to me.
I know they are, buddy. So there are all sorts of people have claimed that they've been in boats and this sauropod dinosaur, that's the only way I can describe it, looks that way and is chased after them. I saw Zod near my desk today and I was like, "Hey Zod, do you know anything about this?" And he didn't, but he also told me, so I have a second one. He told me about this one in Zimbabwe called Nyami Nyami, Nyami twice. And that is, it's the body of a snake with the head of a fish. And it's also known as the Zambezi snake spirit. And it what river is it? Whatever the something. It's believed to protect the Tonga people and give them sustenance in difficult times. But Zaz said that there's like people get dragged into the water by this snake.
Okay.
That could easily be an alligator gar.
Good
So-
for sure. Alligator Gar.
I don't know if those are from Africa.
They're creepy looking.
But yeah, Mekele Mbembe is also big with like young Earth theorists because they believe that if there's a dinosaur-like creature living now, that validates the young Earth theory.
Okay.
I don't know,
Those are crazy.
you know, whatever. So, but yeah, so there might be a dinosaur in the Congo.
I saw one thing on that is that if you look at an elephant from far away and you see it bathing in the forest, like in a river or something, when they lift their trunk up, they also look like a plesiosaur because of the long neck, like a long neck dinosaur. It's their trunk.
Okay.
So that could be an explanation.
I looked up alligator gar, which are crazy looking
It's
fish.
from the United States. I
It's
don't know
from
why
the
I
United
was an
States.
idiot.
Yeah.
Or snakefish. There's like some. I remember that one guy who's not Deadliest Catch, but River Monsters. He was like in Africa and he pulled out like a gigantic fish that was just like bigger than a human.
Yeah. You okay, Big T?
I'm doing great.
God bless you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, that was a sneeze.
Yeah, he plugged himself up real good. Big T, I want to see like a little life. Show me a little life today, Big T. Show me that.
What do you want?
That famous Big T spirit. How are we feeling?
I feel
All
great.
right, time out in the podcast. We're going to keep taping, but we're in timeout right now. Talk to me about the University of Tennessee. Talk to me about the football team.
We didn't show much last week. We're gonna open up the playbook a lot more this week. This is a big game. So
Big game this week. Who are you playing?
Pitt.
Yeah.
Tyler Barron had a huge sack.
He had a big sack.
Yeah.
I caught 2 drives.
What do we think?
I was getting a massage, and that was like the only sports game on, and so I threw it on for just to have like some ambience in the background. I saw the first, I think the first drive and like a drive in the second quarter. I do not see that offense being sustainable.
I guess we'll find out. We only ran like 8 plays the whole game. So
Well, the issue is, so they want speed, right?
yeah, you mean like
Which
the
is-
tempo is not sustainable?
Yeah, because I think if you want to do that, like what you have to do is you have to actually because like that, I bet you the defensive coordinator hates that shit because you don't get a lot of rest as a defense, and so it's hard to sustain over a long period of time, like an entire game. I think it's cool to do that like a drive or 2, and then get back into a regular offense where you're milking the clock. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I think it's good to.
Keep going. Keep going, Big T. This is Volunteer Minute. Welcome back to the Volunteer Minute here on Macrodosing. We got world's biggest University of Tennessee fan, Arian Foster, and also Big T. He's here too.
Loud as a mink,
But sweet as soda pop, I still dream about that. Rocky Top, you'll always be last place in the SEC.
That was rude.
Oh my God.
Rocky Top.
See, it's always a setup.
Tennessee.
The Barstool Sportsbook is now live in Tennessee.
Yes,
If
go
you're in
download the
Tennessee,
Barstool
yeah.
Sportsbook app.
That was the Volunteer Minute here on Macrodosing. We'll have to do that every week. I
We
like
might.
that.
We might.
Just get Arian and Big T rapping about volunteer football.
Do you want to hear the wildest shit that has happened to me in the last month?
Yes.
I was in Los Angeles, California, specifically Hollywood, and I was out there doing something. And I stayed in the Dream Hotel. It's in Hollywood, right? Really nice hotel. Right across the street, there's an old vinyl store, right? And so one day I just decided to walk up there, and I like thumbing through vinyls and like let's see, because like not everything is on Spotify, right? So thumbing through vinyls, taking pictures, and then kind of looking up and researching the music. I love doing that shit. So I did that, and I came across this old ass bluegrass vinyl, and it had fucking Rocky Top on it, dog. I'm talking, there's thousands of albums, bro, and I was thumbing through it, and one of the ones I picked out was that one. I was like, that shit is wild.
Did you get it?
That was wild. No, fuck no. What? Why?
We should do a remix of Rocky Top.
We shouldn't, actually.
No, you
We
don't think
shouldn't.
so?
No, we should, why would we do that?
You don't think you can make Rocky Top a banger?
Oh, I would make a way better song than Rocky Top, but
Hang on. It's an objectively great song. Whatever you think.
It's not a good song.
Oh no.
I think we can make a good version of Rocky Top on this podcast.
Sure.
I think we can do it.
Should we try to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's
Absolutely.
collab. Let's do it.
Let's collab. Arian,
So you gonna be on a Big T, or is that sacrilegious?
oh no, Big T should
What?
definitely be on it. Big T's got a voice like an angel, Arian. He can
Say
sing.
word.
Yeah, he
say
can-
word.
I'm not kidding. Big T can sing. We did something a couple years ago with our gambling goldfish Larry R.I.P. who just passed away a couple days ago.
Rest
But
in peace.
yeah, Big T did like a little gospel rendition of Larry's voice. He can sing.
And he can whistle.
Let me hear the pipes real quick.
Nah, see,
Big
that's the thing though. It's not like it's not right now. This is not the time and
I'm
place.
gassing you up. I'm trying.
I know, but I'm sitting. I'm not prepared. This is not the.
And he's a phenomenal whistler too.
He's a great
I'll whistle for you. What do you want? What do you want to whistle?
whistle something with a little. I don't know. Give me something, man. Give me a little Rocky Top whistle.
Ooh.
No, that was good.
You know, thank
Was that a little vibrato in the whistle? That was impressive.
Yeah, I don't
like
do
it.
that on purpose, but I've been told that that's.
You know how I know we live in a more empathetic generation? Like it used to be
Billy,
commonplace.
tell us how, Billy.
It used to be commonplace, like just in a totally non-violent sector, like part of the world. Like, you know, if there was a kid with a good sing voice, they just chop off his balls. Like Big T would have no balls if he
That's-
like was in, you know, if they made him
He'd be low T.
Yeah, he'd be low T,
Yeah.
like a vibrato. They chop off his balls, have him singing in church, and they want him to keep that voice. And that was just solely because, like, oh yeah, like he had a good voice. We're just gonna chop his balls off.
Is this a little concerning to you, Big T?
Show me where that happened, Billy.
It happened so many
no, the
times. That's the thing.
castrados.
The castrados.
Castrados.
In the United States.
I don't think in the United States. I think it was mostly overseas. I don't have personal. Billy might have more insight as to how many kids got their nuts chopped off.
I think I
in the
saw
US.
that in the Da Vinci Code.
It just came out. Billy was reading an article. They just said that. I love Billy's little tell lines. Where if Billy's about to say it just came out that, or a new study came out.
I
or-
just hear a lot
or
of things.
They're saying now that that's when you know some real fucking fire is about to come out.
It's about to go down.
That real unverified shit is about to come out of Billy's mouth. It's my favorite.
Billy, you strike me as one of those people who bring up like old arguments with your girlfriend from a long time ago. And she's like, where the fuck did that come from? And it's been sitting and festering in your soul. And all of a sudden you decided to bring it up.
I'm not spiteful.
So, yeah, Big T, that was beautiful.
Thanks.
I'm glad that we got to do the volunteer minute.
Me too.
That's going to be every week during football season. We're going to do the volunteer
Well,
minute.
if things go south, we don't need to do the volunteer minute.
No, we're going to do
Oh
it.
no, my brother. That's when we need
See
to
why
do it.
why
We
why
might
are you
have to
not
do it-
with me on this? You should be the one
Big
guy.
T. Big T. I don't listen, bro. I don't care about that shit. Like
I know, but if
went to Tennessee. I love the people that I was with there, but like I have no reverence for the University of Tennessee. I apologize.
It's sad.
It's just not there. I have the same reverence for University of Tennessee as I do for like college football in general. Like, but the people that I've met there, and I love them. I love the people that I've met there for sure.
Okay.
Who do they play this weekend, Big T?
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. A lot of punts this weekend. A lot of punts.
From them, not us.
From them. Definitely from them. Not from Big T.
Because Tyler Barron, macrodosing athlete's going to get 3 sacks.
He's going to get home a few times. So that's right. So we want to bring that up. Tyler Barron.
I got $500 per sack this week.
For
to
Tyler
him.
Barron.
Just for him to tell him about it. Oh no, we can't do that, can we?
I don't think we can do that.
Well, I don't think we can pay per play.
But if it happens to be-
why wouldn't you be able to do that?
Well,
I think it's
we need to figure this out because we reached out to him and he's responsive to Avery, so he is aware of the fact that we're trying to give him money. He's trying to do his best with compliance and not get in any trouble. Given that, yeah, Avery, maybe you can explain.
There's also another bump in the road. Our friend Tyler Barron also now there's negotiation on whether it's a story or a feed post. Are we willing to offer more of our services for a feed post, or is this going to just be a story?
Tell me, my guy's negotiating.
I like this guy.
I love it. I love it.
It depends on how many sacks he gets.
He said, if you want to get on the main page, play, it's gonna cost a little extra cheddar. You know what I'm talking about? I'm with you, my guy. Go ahead. Especially, hey, the price went up. My guy got a sack with one. Come on, doggy, talk to me, fam. I'm with you, dog.
He's trying to get his bag. I respect it. Yeah, so we might have to negotiate more doses for this.
Hey, tell him name the price. I'm trying to get on the main feed.
Tell him main feed.
Okay.
We're willing to talk main feed if it's more money that's understandable. We understand that a premium placement comes with a premium price tag. So you ask him and we'll make it happen. But Tyler Barron, the macrodosing, University of Tennessee. I think he's like the Arian Foster legacy macrodosing athlete of the University of Tennessee.
I love it.
So yeah, he's going to get home a couple times this weekend.
If we're going to do a Cryptids podcast, we're going to have to talk about some of the classics that we probably overlook because we're.
Hold on, let's get into everybody else first before you go into Billy's mind.
So we got
Billy's bag.
We got to talk about
Billy's bag.
Nessie. We can't go through without talking about Nessie.
Okay, Nessie, did you have one that you researched more than the others? No. I have
Chupacabra. So I got a lot.
That's the one I did. I did Chupacabra.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'll do Chupacabra and then we'll get into Billy's bag.
Okay, I like it. Arian.
All right. Chupacabra was fucking fascinating. And what fascinated about it to me was that it was recent, right? It was in 1995 was deciding. It was linked to something in like 1970 something where there was like missing or killed livestock in people's farms, but they thought it might have been like a cult killing or something like that. But anyway, nothing that transpired. But so in 1995, in a town called I pulled it up because I don't know how to say the shit. Canovanas in Puerto Rico, there was a killing of a whole bunch. I think it was like 150 or something like that. 150 goats, and that's what the name Chupacabra actually means. It means goat sucker, and it was alleged that the goats actually got their blood sucked out of them, like completely. And that was what was compelling to everybody in the towns. And so throughout the course of the next year, things started happening to people's livestock, like dogs, cats, whatever the case may be. They all started getting killed with the same kind of markings. Then the sightings started happening, right? And this is what really intrigued me about it was when they started to dig into it. Because if you understand the history of Puerto Rico's a part of the USA, but it doesn't have any like political ties to it as far as like they can't vote in a general election, right? But they still have to follow all of the laws that we provide federally. So they kind of feel like an outcast in society. So like culturally, the Chupacabra has kind of taken on the same, I guess. I'm blanking on the word. Same kind of character, right? And so there was a mayor that was running for electoral position, actually went out hunting for the Chupacabra, and he went out hunting for him, put on a big show, and they put a goat on the back of like some horse or just a carriage or something, like a live goat, to try to bait him into getting eaten. That's how big it got. And so subsequently there was a guy by the name of, let me see what his name was. I don't know his name. I'll think of it here in a second. But Benjamin Radford, there it goes. Benjamin Radford, he ended up writing a book about it in 2011, tracking the Chupacabra, where he really started to he did what Billy does, right? He'll listen to the stories and he'll actually go in and actually investigate the actuality of it all. And like I said, it became like a social folklore, and it became big. There's songs written about it in the 90s. There's merch, it just becomes a big thing. And in his like documentation, what he concluded was more than likely what it was there was dogs, like there could be stray dogs, coyotes, things like that have dysmorphed genetics that cause them to be like hairless, very thick skin, stuff like that. And over time, like I said, the legend grows, but that's what he concluded that it was, and there was no real evidence of any kind of chupacabra. But it was fascinating to me how it tied into like something political, and how like the culture kind of took it on as like a characterization of themselves of being like an outcast. It was fascinating cryptid.
Yeah, I would love for somebody that's running for political office to go out there and be like, you know what, I'm going to find Bigfoot. That's my political position. People would vote for the guy, I'm sure, or girl.
Well, you know,
No question.
With the chupacabra is that they were really playing it up on the border. So a lot of border patrol officers were saying that on the southern border that there's chupacabras patrolling like the land, those like places that you can't really control in the desert between Mexico and the United States, where like no one can put up a wall there or whatever. So they're saying like, yeah, there's chupacabras, and they spread that rumor so people wouldn't make the trek. Because, and also the coyotes as in the people who would smuggle people across the border would be like, yeah, you can't make it by yourself without a coyote because of the chupacabras. And it sort of really got played up.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, really interesting story.
I think it could probably be both. I think I actually, the chupacabra is one that I kind of believe in. There's a lady that found a chupacabra. Her name is Phyllis Canyon, and let's see, where was she? This was reported to KPRC News, and she actually still has its head, and she's got pictures of the entire body. She had the head preserved. A lot of people will say that the chupacabra is a coyote. This doesn't look anything like a coyote. It's like a crossbreed between a coyote and a hog. I've seen a lot of coyotes. This is definitely not a coyote.
A lot of hairless dogs.
Yeah, so it could be actually something that's like art imitating. What is it? No, life imitating art, where there've been all these reports of the chupacabra and people that have described what they see, and there are people that are trying to breed animals that match those descriptions. In Texas, like way out in the countryside, they'll try to breed animals together because, you know, for every time that it absolutely does not work, and I believe that's probably like the creepiest thing that you can do is to like have your own island of Dr. Moreau and just try to make new species of animals. But for every animal that doesn't work, I'm sure like once out of every 100 times you stumble across like, oh, holy shit, we can breed a horse and a donkey and a mule works. Like a mule comes out the other side.
You think it's like...
We have manifested many things on this show. If there's one thing I want us to manifest, it is a remake of The Island of Dr. Moreau. That shit would be fire nowadays.
Yes.
With the technology, it would be amazing. Because it was a fire movie, man. It was fire.
Who would be your choice to play Dr. Moreau?
I have zero idea what you guys are talking about.
You don't know what Billy, you would love.
You haven't seen that? Oh, you would fuck with it. Yeah, you would fuck with it.
Billy, I need you to lead the charge on this because
I will watch the movie, not tonight. I have to make my hedgehog do football picks, which takes it's much more time consuming than you think.
Billy's got a very busy schedule.
Woody Harrelson got to play Dr. Moreau.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I
would like to see him in an evil role. That would be fire.
I think your idea of just like some anti-immigration Texas rancher breeding hairless chupacabra like dogs to patrol the border is pretty metal. That's pretty out there.
Yeah.
Just some guy like
yeah. No, they definitely need to remake this movie. I'd forgotten just how much ass it kicked.
Bro, it was fire, man. And it was kind of probably, so like the graphics are probably corny as shit, like when you watch them now. I haven't seen it in years, but I'm guessing it would be. But you know the graphics aren't corny even though it's been over 10 years. Avatar.
Still haven't seen it. Still haven't seen it. I don't think I'm ever going to see Avatar.
You're going to watch it.
What is it, like 7 hours long?
Yeah, I've never seen it either.
It's a 2.5. Wow, this is kind of like I feel like Big T when y'all talk about Jesus. This is how I feel. I'm sorry, Big T.
I saw it in theaters with the 3D IMAX glasses. I saved up to like buy a $50 cinema ticket to see the Avatar when it first came out in the real 3D, and it was
bamboozled.
It blew my mind.
3D movies are the most overhyped shit in the world, but it's a fire.
For that one, I think. How did you see it for the first time?
I saw it many times the first time.
Yeah, but I saw it in like the 4D theater like crazy.
Just regular. I think it was IMAX. I think.
Yeah.
That's when I
3D
saw it.
is
Yeah.
usually just a crock of shit, and we're about reaching that time cycle where people are going to start pushing 3D movies on us again. It's once every 10, 15 years. They're like, oh, guess what? 3D is coming back. It's better than ever now. And then you go see a movie in 3D, and you're like, I feel kind of sick after watching
Have
it.
y'all been to this 4DX shit?
Oh yeah, where they
Have you
spray
done one
shit
of those?
in the
So
face.
it's the seats are on like a joystick, like the bottom of a joystick. How it moves, they're on that, and they shake and move and all this shit. They spray water on. You can't see. You can't focus. I had no idea when I went to it.
You're sitting on a joystick.
You're sitting on a Sibian, I think.
You're
Yeah,
something that allows
Really,
it to
man.
move, and you can't focus on the movie. It sucks. Don't ever go.
Okay, 4DX.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. I want to go to that. That sounds fun. It's like one of those adventure park rides where it kind of moves and the wind comes and the
Yeah.
water. I'm in. I'm in.
You just can't focus on the movie.
The first
You
time.
gotta go faded. You can't go there like sober.
Yeah. The Days of Thunder ride at King's Dominion, the NASCAR movie, they had one of those at King's Dominion in Virginia where it would like move with the NASCAR as you were driving around the track. That kicked ass.
I can see that.
The first 3D movie I ever went to, within the first like 5 minutes, I reached out and touched the person in front of me. I was really little, and I was young, and you know, the guy was like, "What the fuck?"
What was the first 3D movie you guys saw? Because I remember mine vividly.
I think it was the Polar Express.
I have no idea.
Did you see that too?
I didn't see it in 3D, but I have a strong, like, I feel like people our age have a very strong emotional connection to that movie. Mine was Spy Kids 2.
Oh,
I see. I always feel so old when you guys are talking about like the first things that you guys remember. And it's like, oh yeah, I was paying a bill when I remember seeing a commercial for that.
so she mentioned Spike. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go get
No, I
yourself.
was gonna say
Get yourself.
the favorite Spy Kid quote: does God stay in heaven because he too is afraid of what he created? And it's just literally that actor who's in Grown Ups, just like in Spy Kids. What's his name? Steve Buscemi is just like sitting there delivering like this heavy line. Like,
Yeah, Buscemi is a cool dude.
yeah,
You know that, like,
firefighter.
Yeah, firefighter. He worked for like months at Ground Zero after
Yeah.
9/11, because that's what he was doing, and was not like there were no people taking pictures of him or whatever. He's just that's what he does, like in his spare time.
Right. I mean, awesome dude, but just don't expect those amazing pros in Spy Kids, comedy for children, talking about existential.
Yeah, that movie like fucks with you mentally. Like,
Mhm.
and like I remember like the thumbs that would run
Yeah.
around that were, I don't know if they were villains or not, but they were like part of the Spy Kids universe. And freaking what's her face? It was the mom from Grown Ups too. Shit.
Oh, crazy.
Penelope
crazy.
Cruz? No.
Yeah, crazy
No.
movie, but I think the thumbs are supposed to be a play on like,
Oh, just kidding. Carla Gugino?
you know how like henchmen are always like, you know, like thick-necked white dudes who are bald, like Dana White looking dudes.
Uh-huh.
That's what the thumbs are. They all look like thumbs.
Speaking of Dana White looking dudes, Joe Rogan getting COVID-19.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got COVID.
Yeah.
yeah. Then he
Yeah.
He's taking, what is it called?
ivermectin.
And for Mech.
I want to let Billy go off on ivermectin because I know that look on his face, and that look means that he has some opinions.
Do you remember
What
what?
a thought, because I want to hear it.
Yeah.
I want to hear it. But I just got to insert this in the
Okay.
pod before we pivot past kid nostalgia. I don't know if y'all, because y'all maybe but PFT, you was here for this. Blue's Clues.
Mhm.
Steve from Blue's
back.
Clues.
Yup.
He came back in a viral video that touched my fucking soul,
I
my
saw
guy.
you posted that.
Yeah, I posted it with my own little message because it was like he basically, in a nutshell, says, and if you haven't seen it out there, go to my page, go to Nick Jr.'s page. I don't know, go find that shit because it was one of the most touching things Nickelodeon has ever done to me. That sounds weird, but it was very heartfelt because he comes back and he says, I kind of left abruptly, and I just want to let you know I never forgot about you ever. It was just like, why did you do that to me, Steve? It just meant it meant so much to me, man. It just really did. All right, ivermectin.
Oh,
Joe Rogan got COVID.
So, I blogged the Blues Clues thing, so you can find it on barstoolsports.com. But ivermectin is getting a bad name.
Uh-oh.
And
Here we
remember when I talked about the time scabies awareness
Yep.
and how, you got to be careful about scabies. It's like something that no one ever warns you about in health class, and like stuff like it is, spreads very easily, and it's a mite that burrows under your skin. Well, I took ivermectin to combat scabies, and it is not necessarily the livestock drug that people are saying. It does work on livestock.
Did you shit your brains out?
No,
Okay.
but I'm just saying it's like it cured river blindness in Africa, and it's like very widespread use. Do I think it's used to cure COVID? I don't know. There's no clinical studies, but it is for humans too.
I'm going to say it's probably not a cure for
Right.
COVID. I'm going to say I'm going to hazard a guess and say that getting the vaccine
Yeah.
for COVID is probably 7 million times more protected
Yeah. No, 100%.
than taking ivermectin. But I'm glad that you're clearing up the.
It's an
the bad name.
anti-parasitic
Yeah.
drug, and that's why they give it to animals that get parasites like cattle and horses.
I've heard people
college
use it
kids.
for ringworm and college kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I don't understand. So purely because I've done zero research on ivermectin, but just thinking that something is it's parasitic, why would they then attribute that to a virus?
It's a fair question.
No idea.
Fair question. But Joe Rogan, how are his nipples, Billy? Coned?
Dude, Joe Rogan is a different species. He's hopped up on so many different vitamins, TRT, HGH. I'm very interested to see Joe Rogan's aging process, because what is he, 50 now? He's in his 50s.
Mm-hmm.
He's either going to die in the next 10 years because people use HGH and TRT. That's their timetable of dying. Like wrestlers, or it's something really because his body's been running hot for a long time with everything he's putting in there. So he's either going to live forever or he's going to go down pretty soon.
I feel like his body has got to be in active mode constantly. Like his body's probably very confused why it's always, like you said, running hot, like at an optimal rate of speed.
If he stopped getting all the injections he's been getting, his pituitary gland is probably nuked to the brain. He probably cannot produce any of his own hormones.
Yep.
So he's sort of, he needs a lot of support to stay running. But, if you want to live your life that way, that's awesome. But if you dropped him in the middle of the forest for 2 months, he'd collapse pretty quickly.
All right, there's Billy's Joe Rogan analysis of the week.
But
Ivermectin, good for scabies.
Good for scabies.
So the Macrodosing is putting our official stamp of approval on
Ivermectin for scabies. It's better than the cream because the cream just kills them on the top of the skin, not the ones deep that you need to take the ivermectin to get.
Okay, just make a stamp, Avery Candy or Mad Dog, that just says ivermectin. It's Billy approved.
For
scabies. And then for scabies. Ivermectin, it worked for me for scabies.
For scabies.
I like it. We have real quick breaking news here. Tyler, our University of Tennessee macrodosing athlete, he's saying that his management tells him he shouldn't do the main feed for anything less than $2,000. So
Let's fucking go.
I think we got ourselves a deal.
My guy's playing hardball, man. I like it. He has 11,000 followers, and his management team is telling us that $2,000 to see. You know what? Fuck it.
Yep. Fuck it. That's what I'm saying too.
Fuck it. We need to do this. I love this thing. I'm following him.
What is a number that would have been too high for you to say yes?
I don't know that there is one.
That's what I was going to say. He should have gone for way higher than 2,000 because the higher he goes, Arian is just in on it.
Well, the reason why I'm so in on it, because there isn't a speck of analytics in the world that will tell you 11,000 followers equals $2,000 for advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
It just the numbers aren't there. But he had the balls to, one, say he has a management team that told him that, but two, to actually go through with it. I love that shit. You know what it is? He's brand new to negotiating his worth on the free market. And like he's just kind of throwing, and this is going to give him confidence to be like, this is what I want. Because that's all negotiation is. For anybody listening out there, whether you're negotiating for a salary raise or you're negotiating for anything else, everybody wants to play hardball. In this capitalistic society, they want to play hardball. So you shoot your shot. So you go high, they go low, and then you end up meeting someone in the middle. But we're going to teach this young man is you go high, you don't take no for an answer. And that is how you win.
I would love
it. Be confident.
If Arian is like setting the market artificially, like all these other college athletes now go to these companies and they're like, we think you're worth X. And they're like, well, Tyler Barron got $2,000 for doing this. And Arian just like inflates the market.
On the main account.
Correct. For a main post.
Yeah, for a main post. Not just a story.
Main post. That's his fucking floor now, guys.
Well,
we just like this is floor.
Like it or not, you can say artificially, but we are setting the market.
That's true.
There's nothing artificial if money's changing hands. That the market is what you are worth. What the market.
That's
will pay
correct.
you.
There's no such thing as being overpaid.
We showed a little too much interest that drove up his asking price.
Well, that's fine. We weren't trying to play hardball with him.
Who's getting the double teams on the line that let him get the sack?
I don't care. I like this guy. I like Tyler Barron.
We want him. This is our guy. We picked a guy, got a guy. Our guy said, "Show me, I'm your guy." We gotta show him. We gotta fucking show him.
Who's getting the double teams like Aaron Donald, freeing up the rest of the line?
I don't know.
This is
Big
awesome.
T.
Matthew Butler played a good game, but Barron's probably our best defensive lineman.
There we go.
Would
The price going up. The price going up, baby.
if Barron's willing to do, $1K for the main page? No, I'm kidding.
Maybe we can get a volume discount. We'll buy 50 main page posts just every
for
week.
1K?
Yeah.
For the season. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just spread them out. Yeah. Give me 3 macrodosing posts a week, and for the next 13 weeks, and then we'll pay you. I mean, there's got to be like some sort of volume discount. Let's just say, $35,000 for your entire feed to just be.
Just macrodosing.
Just macrodosing. Whenever the new episode comes out, we'll have him we'll send a t-shirt to him every week. Be like, the t-shirt will say, this week's macrodosing is cryptids. And then that will be the picture that we'll use. Probably not, but.
Maybe we'll do the mini episode this week. It'll just be Billy and Tyler on a Zoom call and them negotiate the deal. See how much it costs us.
That would be fire because Billy's like, this is fiscally irresponsible, guys. I think we should think through it.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get back to cryptids real quick because I know that Billy's got a few that he's looking to get into.
Yeah.
Although for the record, I believe in the existence of a chupacabra-like animal. I think that it's real.
Yeah, that's wild that you believe that.
But the alien reptilian type or the stray mangy dog that's bad at killing stuff, so it just takes one bite, leaves 3 puncture wounds, and then leaves because he can't kill it. Then it runs off and dies.
I think that I think that there are some weird crossbred animals that do exist out there.
So there was a I think it was a school in Texas. I don't remember what school it was, but they actually did a study on one of the DNA of an alleged chupacabra, and it turned out to be a coyote. But just it had, like I said, some kind of morph.
Mange.
So or maybe a mutated coyote.
No, mange. It's like a parasite, and they scratch off the hair.
I know
Mangy coyotes.
No. Put some respect on the chupacabra. It's also there's a bar on 6th Street called Chupacabra that has good queso. That's all I'm going to say.
Does it have banger margaritas?
Yeah, the margaritas are pretty good too. So if you ever find yourself in Austin, Chupacabra is not a bad place to go.
I just want to. Now I might drink a margarita today.
I was thinking the same thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, Billy.
Do you know that Stalin tried to crossbreed apes with humans to create a new army?
No.
Yeah, it's. I was like, I wanted to talk about Bigfoot and Yeti and all the huge ape hominids, but seriously, after World War I, so many Russian men were killed. And they were going to be soon after in World War II, that Stalin was just like this was one of these, crazy experiments that you could do in the Soviet Union because they had zero human ethics. And they're just like, what if we could create super soldiers with the strength of a gorilla and the mind of a human? So they're literally trying to create crossbred humans and apes. And then their only problem with it is, well, how many human strength, monkey brained hybrids are we going to get trying to create the super strong, super smart soldiers?
I feel like it would take thousands of years to make an army of these things, right? Because gorillas, apes, they don't give birth to like huge litters at a time, do they?
Right.
And humans definitely don't.
Well, you know what they were just doing?
What?
They were artificial inseminating Russian women with orangutan, gorilla.
Shut up.
Yeah. No, seriously. There's a Monster Quest episode on it. And then they found in Russia like a half human, half ape dude that they weren't sure was like an escaped type thing. That it may be legend, but there was like a Bigfoot found in Russia later around that time or earlier. Wait, Russian Bigfoot.
Why?
It was one of those two.
How did they decide that they were going to artificially inseminate Russian women, not just like find like the horniest Russian men and be like, hey, just
Well, they did.
give me your cum?
They did both ways.
Okay. And it didn't work, I'm guessing.
Never worked because of the chromosome stuff.
Well, it didn't work that we know of.
Yeah.
Damn. I had never heard about this experiment before.
Yeah, it's actually crazy.
Yeah, so Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin wanted to rebuild the Red Army in the mid-1920s with Planet of the Apes-style troops by crossing humans with apes. Stalin is said to have told Ivanov, I want a new invincible human being, insensitive to pain, resistant and indifferent about the quality of food they eat. At what point, if you're like working for Stalin and he says this, are you like, this is like beyond supervillain type stuff? Like, I'm out. I'm okay with like the inhumane treatment of the millions of people in the army, but when you start talking about like creating genetic half-bred human apes, where is the line drawn?
Look, I just want to say, I mean, this is probably one of the greatest arguments for capitalism because like this is what communism leads to.
Communism
leads to.
Fuck off. Oh, fuck off.
Look, we're all equal, and then you start experimenting. Like,
Billy's right. Capitalism.
We'll make that jump. We're all equal. Therefore,
we all start at we just want to be an agrarian nation, share all the bountiful crops, and then boom, super soldiers that are half gorilla.
Billy's right. Capitalism would never lead to dubious ethical decisions made in the name of medicine.
Ever.
Never. Ever. No, you're right.
Yeah, right.
You're right. Big T, your thoughts?
I think you should ask your favorite late night host what his thoughts about that are.
Who's my favorite late night host?
One that went on his show last night and said that unvaccinated people should be denied hospital beds.
Who said that? Bill Maher?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh, I
they
love
should
Jimmy
be
Kimmel.
denied that.
Yeah, but we're all about
hospital
healthcare
beds.
for all.
I didn't know. That
I
Jimmy Kimmel,
1,000% am.
I also didn't
He
know
said-
that I was a Jimmy Kimmel fan.
He said that.
I'd be.
Well, just the general you.
He's
What does that mean? The general me.
The
I give up.
population.
The general population.
People love Jimmy Kimmel.
People love Jimmy Kimmel.
but not. He said that
Like the Man Show.
healthcare workers should deny service to people who would prefer ivermectin as a treatment to COVID rather than the vaccine.
But if they have scabies, absolutely give them ivermectin.
yes, absolutely.
Or ringworm,
We need to increase our supply of ivermectin
Or
for scabies treatment.
river blindness,
Yep. I absolutely agree with that.
and malaria, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, yeah, baby.
I don't think ivermectin doesn't work for malaria, does it?
I think it's up there. I think early stages.
Is that giant pill that you take when you travel overseas?
Yeah.
Because if so, I might have taken ivermectin before.
I mean, you shouldn't take it for COVID, but
Is
it's just
it?
like it's like everyone being like, "Oh, it's
I could be
only
wrong.
for cattle." Like, yes, they're going into livestock stores and buying the cattle version because they can get it over the counter, which is bad.
Yep.
But ivermectin is not just for cattle.
Yep. It's also for scabies.
But yeah, they found this woman in Russia called Xana, who they thought was Russia's own Bigfoot. It was in the 19th century, so before they started doing that stuff. But yeah,
That's some crazy shit.
crazy.
We need to do more research on Stalin's half-ape army. Super warriors. Why would you think that It would be a super warrior.
Well, I mean, think about it. Think about nothing.
Would you trust the monkey to drive the tank?
No, because he's got a Russian brain.
So Stalin is trying to create a soldier that was as strong as a gorilla, but had like a human brain.
Right.
But except for the parts of the brain that taught it to like complain about following orders or like eating food that wasn't spoiled.
Well, that was they knew how to deal with that through like Soviet Russian army tactics.
Okay. I mean, they ended up coming up with a pretty good army that beat Hitler. So
yeah, a lot of numbers.
Listen, God bless the broken road that led them to the stand in Stalingrad. But for the record, we're anti crossbreeding humans and apes to create a super soldier army.
They are doing that in China right now, though. There was a scientist who did
That's illegal. I thought that was illegal in China.
No, but they made a human ape embryo recently.
Really?
No.
This is a bold accusation, Billy.
Really?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about ivermectin. Just as a side note, ivermectin and malaria that they use to control or to reduce.
Scientists. This actually might have been in America. Scientists create early embryos that are part human, part monkey. Yeah, the reason with this is that if they start actually making these hybrids and then they aren't technically classified as humans, then they can test on these half humans, half ape hybrids in like labs.
This is getting heavy for me right now.
That's what the macrodosing does, baby. Hey yo, what link is that though? Is it like a real reputable website or is it like a
NPR
New York Post type?
No, I'm looking up some stuff right now. Research at the Salk Institute for Biological Studies in California, working in collaboration with Chinese scientists, grew embryos in a dish with some surviving up to 20 days. These are monkey embryos containing human cells.
Okay, so let's talk about it.
That's decent.
The efficacy of it. Do you think it's ethical to create something and to crossbreed, if it's possible? I don't even know if the genetics are possible, but if it's possible to crossbreed humans and what would it be? Another primate.
So that would be everyone got mad at me on another episode where I was saying chimeras, but it's really chimeras, which is half human, half animal hybrids in mythology, but they use it for these science experiments. But there are a couple already. I'd say if the animals, oh man, this is hard.
If the animals consent. Yeah, it's a good question. I would say no, like to all of it. I feel like once the hair on my neck starts standing up, that's when I'm like, okay, this is freaky shit.
That's your moral meter.
I can't describe it. I can't tell you exactly where it is, but
that's the thing though, right? Is if let's say they do that and that makes your hair stand up, right? You draw the line there, but you don't draw the line with other animals that they use that can definitely feel pain and that can definitely sense and have the capacity to love. You don't draw the line there because it's kind of just, it's mended in your moral compass as that's okay.
Yeah, I'm a big hypocrite for sure. Yes.
I have a hypothetical situation.
We all are. We all have to be. No one. There's not a single person that's on this planet right now that has like an ethical straight line that they. Probably the closest to it. Sorry, Billy. It would be like somebody who's a vegan that just
1,000%.
That never leaves their house and and doesn't really shower except with like rainwater. That would probably be the only person, and I don't think that lifestyle is for us.
So I don't think it's hypocritical to criticize a system that's necessary to live, right? You were born here. You weren't born with the tools to live on off the grid and just survive on the land. Like you weren't born with that kind of knowledge, right? So in order to survive in the system, there's certain things you have to acquiesce to. So I don't think it's hypocritical to exist in the system and critique it, but it's interesting, like you said, the acknowledgement of you being a big hypocrite is a big thing. Like I'm definitely a hypocrite as well. I think vegans are the closest ones. Vegans for ethical reasons, anyways. For nutritional reasons, not much so. But vegans for ethical reasons are probably the most morally consistent people I've met.
If they were to hypothetically have stem cells available from these monkey-human hybrids. That they were just sort of growing using
here's where I become an even bigger hypocrite. You ready for this? Because if I get diagnosed, let's just say with like pancreatic cancer, and there's a scientist who's like, hey, we have this treatment. It's using the stem cells that were grown using the hybrids. I'd be like, give me those fucking stem cells right now. And I would take advantage of all like the unethical shit that went into creating it if it meant that I could save my own life. I think most people would do that too. If you don't,
well, how far along the line are you into organ harvesting?
If it's my clone, yeah,
take all them shits.
No, organ harvesting. You mean like? What do you mean?
They sell organs on the black market. There's black market organ, like they kidnap people, take people's kidneys and livers and shit like that.
What's the going rate for like a kidney?
Depends on the quality. Depends on the quality and country of origin you want it from.
My liver's probably shit. So
yeah. All right. So
good luck with that one.
They do it a ton in China. There's like a pay to play system there.
I want a liver from somebody in Salt Lake City.
No, that's not going to happen. But like, for example, like it's either North Korea.
It's like there's a Yelp page for fucking.
Yeah. No, seriously, this is how they do it. Like you can get it. It's like, North Korea, Uyghur Muslim.
I do not want North Korean organs.
Yeah.
I feel like they probably are fed, 2 grains of rice a day or whatever their ration can be. It's fascinating to look at North Korea's population and see just how bad the nutritional aspect, the malnutrition has affected the size of people.
Yeah, no one's over 5 foot.
No one's over 5. Well, there are a couple people, but like it's noticeable just after 60 years of having almost constant famine, where they're giving these meager rice rations, and now their kids are all just like very small, very sickly. But no, to answer your question, I'm not in favor of like having somebody killed and then stealing their organ. I don't think I would do that.
Got you. Well, I mean, neither am I, but I just want how far is the give me that unethical practice to save my life goes.
I would reject murdering somebody to take their organ, but I would also expect that I get people applauding me and congratulating me for not having somebody killed and making the ethical decision.
What if someone else murders them?
If they're already murdered?
Yeah.
Then you're talking about organ donation.
Right. But, it was sort of, they knew that if they killed them, there'd be a market. Like, someone wants a lung, someone wants a heart, someone wants a kidney.
If they were killed because somebody was trying to harvest their organs, if that was the reason why they were killed, then no, I don't want it. But if they're dead,
what if they were like death row?
They just want to Big T's victims.
Yeah, let's say we're down the line. Big T's.
This episode, the only person who's talked about killing somebody is Arian.
That's true. I'd just like to say though, for the future Big T, I'd like to purchase you a series of large industrial strength freezers just for you to have in your house.
I thank you for your generosity. I don't need that gift.
Whatever you
storage,
want,
scrap storage.
You can put whatever that you want in them.
I live in a 150 square foot apartment. I have nowhere to keep a large freezer.
Okay, isn't that convenient?
Got some scraps laying around. Parts, spare
parts. Nice little alibi there. I don't have room for a big freezer.
But you're right. Going back to the whole point of the half human hybrids, it's like the embryos. It's tough to have like an ethical line that's drawn. I don't think that there's a right answer to it unless you say like nothing at all. Like never do research using any sort of hybrid.
Well, I mean, that's a real like people talk about all the time. Should you do euthanasia? It's like, should euthanasia be ethical? And you're like giving people the consent to kill themselves or not, and we stop people from doing that a lot. So like, is that ethical? Like, there's a lot of scientific efficacy issues that probably need to be talked about more.
I think people absolutely should be allowed to kill themselves if they're facing terminal illness or like constant pain. I think if you are in favor of limited government and you do not agree with that, then that makes you a massive hypocrite as well.
Yeah, if you think about it, like if you don't want someone to be able to choose, like if they have terminal cancer, I don't think that like you should be able to just like walk up and be perfectly healthy and be like, yep, I want to But
Yeah, we're not going to encourage
No, but if
we're
you have,
talking
terminal illness, you're in constant pain, like you just said, I think there's a like sense of dignity that you have that you're like, I want to keep that. Also, I feel like if other people are telling you, like the government or whoever are telling you can't do that, it's for the benefit of others, not for yourself at that point.
If anyone has ever experienced like a loved one or family member going through something like late stage
If
cancer,
you're from like Oregon,
you would never be against allowing somebody the right to kill themselves given what they were facing.
Yeah.
Some people prefer not to, and that's a personal decision, and that's great for those people. But if that's the course that you select, there shouldn't be anybody that tells you not to. Absolutely not.
yeah, at that point, it's for the benefit of like your family and your like loved ones rather than you.
Mhm.
You're suffering for others. We can
Mhm.
put down dogs.
organ donors. They have to be organ donors, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point, Bill.
That's a
Yeah.
good stipulation.
Yeah. If you're going to do it, might as well
Yeah.
give me one of those lungs.
Throw the parts.
But I also
Yeah.
feel like most people, like I don't think I know anyone in my life like directly that's not an organ donor.
I do.
Oh, like I don't
It's
know that many
religious.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nah, it's a conspiracy, like especially among like black folks. Well, they'll be like, nah, I ain't an organ donor, because they think if you put organ donor on your ID, then they, are gonna try to kill you so they can get organs because they sell organs on the black market. Like I've had that conversation with many of folk, and I'm like, my dog, that's just not. They're not plotting to kill you for your kidney. I promise you.
Mm-hmm. All right, Bill, you want to get into any like Bigfoot shit?
Yeah,
do you
dude,
think
I fucking love Bigfoot.
I know.
I fucking love all of the hominids, like Yeti, Yahweh, not Yahweh.
Yeah,
what's-
that's God.
no,
in the
sorry,
Hebrew
no,
language.
no, no, the Australian one.
You blew your lid there, buddy.
Yahweh.
No, what's the Australian one called? Oh boy,
Steve Irwin.
no, it's like called like Yah. Okay.
All right, but talk to me real quick about Yeti, because Yeti was the
So-
one I looked up too.
Dude, Yeti's awesome.
Great
Bigfoot's
thermoses.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and coolers. Yeti coolers. I love Yeti coolers.
And Barstool
Get me-
intern.
Send me some coolers. No.
Now full time.
Oh wow.
Billy just wants a cooler Yeti.
I need to
if you're out
find the
there
na-
listening.
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell you what I learned about Yeti today. This
Mhm.
this is really interesting stuff. So the first guy, or I should say the first European person to, or not European, first white person to summit Mount Everest, Sir Edmund Hillary, he had an encounter with a Yeti.
Yeah. Insane. You know who else had an encounter with Bigfoot? Teddy Roosevelt.
Really?
It was secondhand conversation, but he wrote about it.
So, so I think we need to define the word encounter.
But
You know who else had an encounter with him? Secondhand.
no, but it's actually hilarious. Yahweh, Yowie is actually the Australian one.
It's like saying, Billy, you've had a secondhand encounter with a Pro Bowl
But,
because
like,
you're on a podcast.
basically one guy went out. One guy went out that Teddy Roosevelt knew, and then two guys went out, and then one of them died, and the guy came back and said, "Yo, it was a Bigfoot."
Okay.
But then he blamed. This is actually really funny. It was so funny how like xenophobic like early Americans were to like new immigrants that like we'd never think like so.
That's changed, by the way.
Right. But like
we've definitely changed since then.
no. But I'm saying like Teddy Roosevelt's making fun of this German guy that like Roosevelt notes that Bauman appeared fearful while telling his story, but attributed the trapper's folkloric German ancestry to have potentially influenced him in his sighting.
Okay.
So it's like, oh, he's a German. He just believes in stupid shit.
Yeah, Germans believe in all this
Just
weird
like-
crap.
Puts perspective on it.
I don't know what it is, but there's something funny to me about like stereotypes that are very outdated, like finding out what weird stereotypes they used to have in like the 1700s, like
that aren't harmful anymore.
that aren't harmful
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah, it's like, oh, stay away from the Irish because
Fiery bunch.
the fire
That's-
bunch,
That
yeah.
red hair.
Yeah,
They're just fighting all the time.
Irish people, they've got weak ribs, like crazy stuff like that has no relevance to today. I
yeah.
always like hearing what because it kind of puts you in the perspective of like, what stereotypes do we have nowadays that will be
Stupid.
laughed about because they're so stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a German, so he's obviously making it all up, as
Yes.
they tend to do.
Those Germans, man.
But what I thought was interesting about the Yeti, or the abominable snowman, if you'd so prefer to call him that. If you're not familiar with the Yeti, it's a hominid-like animal that supposedly wanders through the Himalayan mountains. It's got long, usually white or red hair, and it's kind of like half ape, but like the size of a giant human. And what's interesting about homes in Nepal is when you enter a traditional home, a home that's been built, longer than, 30, 40 years ago, most homes are built in a particular way where they have a raised floor to them, and they have a short ceiling at the very entrance of it. And that's because one of the original stories about the Yeti trying to track people down comes from Edmund Hillary's climbing partner, the Sherpa, who was describing something that he had heard from one of his climbing partners in the mountains, which is there was a man and his son, and they were attacked by a giant hominid-like creature. They tried to grab some of its hair. They ran away. The creature was chasing after them. They were trapped. The only way to get out of this predicament was to go underneath a log and stop on the other side of the log before it dropped off a sheer cliff. So they ducked underneath the log, stood there. The Yeti couldn't get under. It couldn't bend down far enough to get under this massive log that had fallen across a ravine. And so homes in Nepal are now constructed to a point where if there's a Yeti, it's not able to physically step up and bend down at the same time to get through the front door of the house. So homes over there are all Yeti proof. I thought that was interesting.
Dude, it's awesome.
Yeah. So Billy, let me ask you this. Who wins in a fight? Bigfoot or Yeti?
Okay, so Bigfoot is a little smaller than Yeti. I'd like to compare Bigfoot to Yeti like brown bears to polar bears.
Okay, tail of the tape.
That's how I like to think about it. And as we know, to live in those climates, the Yeti lives in a lot colder climates. They probably have a lot more mass to maintain warmth and probably need to be a lot stronger than the Bigfoot. And Yetis are said to be like 15 feet, like close to 1,000 pounds. I say Bigfoot's only about 9 feet, close to like 700.
Also,
from the descriptions.
Yetis train at altitude, right? So they're more efficient breathers.
Right. They probably have. Well, Gurkhas have insane.
What's a Gurkha?
Gurkhas are the Nepalese fighting force that the English used to use as like special operations units.
Okay.
So they're like the fearsomest fighters, and they could fight for so long because they were at altitude, and they are thought to have had like higher blood cell counts, red blood cell counts that carry oxygen because they, were up at altitude for so long.
That's true.
Yeah. Gurkhas are insane.
It's true that people that are native to that part of the world they're able to utilize oxygen at a better rate.
But like so many people have encountered the Yeti. Alexander the Great has stories about the Yeti. From Pliny the Elder, in the 1920s, there's stories of Yetis. The thing is, there is fossil record proof of large hominids that lived in Asia and could have easily crossed the Bering Strait, much like how humans are thought to have gotten to America the same way and came down to the Pacific Northwest, where tons of Yeti sightings are.
Okay.
So it's
when you say large fossil evidence, is like what have we concluded from those studies?
Gigantopithecus is the giant ape, which is thought to be a giant hominid that lived side by side with many of the other hominids of that time, Neanderthals, humans, Denisovians, who are a new hominid we've figured out recently. And they're just these huge dudes who had, family structures and, had like sort of semi-advanced, not society, but, more advanced than a gorilla, but not human-like, where they would just roam and just eat stuff and just chill as these gigantic gorillas. They probably think humans and them interacted slightly, and humans probably hunted them like they did with most of the megafauna. around the world to extinction. It's actually interesting. You know why megafauna, and by megafauna I mean like large mammals, only really exist in Africa today? Because they evolved alongside humans. So when humans spread across the globe, they're like an invasive species and killed all like the megafauna across the earth. So they killed all the big stuff except in Africa because they evolved alongside with them. Yeah, that's
interesting. So I'm looking up the Gigantopithecus right now.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
It looks like the Gigantopithecus. So when hominids and the great apes, when they kind of like divided, one branch ended up evolving into things like gorillas, chimpanzees, and then humans. And the other side split off entirely, and those evolved into Gigantopithecus and then orangutans.
Yeah.
So orangutans are still around from that side of the tree as like the last living that we know about remnants. But Gigantopithecus, it is, Billy's right. Gigantopithecus is a real species. Now, it is popular in cryptozoology, and people that are interested in studying unconfirmed animals. But I guess it kind of makes sense that if there are a couple families of these things or a couple lines that still exist to this day, you could mistake its skeleton for being a Yeti or a Bigfoot.
Maybe, living in vast cave systems around national parks, taking out families and their dogs, and then they have to close up the national park to cover up the evidence of the Yeti or Bigfoot attack. But who knows? But, if recently they found Homo florensis, which was found on Florence Island in Indonesia. I'm probably butchering all the names there, but basically there was always stories amongst the locals in Indonesia about these little people who lived up in the mountains and who would come down and steal children and, like eat where they were cannibals. And then recently they found various fossils of very small people in that area, and they called them the Hobbit people. And basically, the humans that got there encountered these people, and it's crazy how long in thousands of years some of these tales must have progressed. But all of the Bigfoot and Yeti stories have all of these very long histories, and there are the fossils there. So, maybe humans were living alongside Gigantopithecus for longer than the fossil records show, and who knows?
Would you want to be like, let's just say that we found some Gigantopithecus roaming around out there. What would you suggest that we would do with them? Would you want to, like, I guess what I'm asking is, at what point do they become so human-like that they should never be in captivity?
I can just imagine them just being tired and just being like, dude, like, just leave me alone. Like, I just want to chill out here in the forest and just do my forest routine, and you humans are just pissing me off.
Yeah.
I would maybe like offer him, hey, Teddy Roosevelt advocated for national parks. Also knew about Bigfoot. Maybe he made a deal with the Big Feet.
Maybe Teddy entered into negotiations with is it Big Feet or Bigfoot?
Sasquatch.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you brought up the Bigfoot Sasquatch thing, because I feel like Sasquatch is a way better name.
Right.
Bigfoot makes it sound like it's completely made up. Sasquatch makes it seem like, I don't know, I'm 0.5% convinced that it might be real.
Yeah, then that's the Native Americans' name for Bigfoot, but everyone knows him as Bigfoot because he left huge foot. I mean,
how do we know it's a he?
Everyone, sorry. There's probably big female feet.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. You never know.
Misogynistic to these cryptid primates.
Sasquatches.
The mother was the doctor. You never think about that.
Sasquatchesses.
Yeah.
But by the way, there's a lot of encounters. Like, for example, that video of the classic Bigfoot video where he's like walking.
He turns
around, and he's low-key thick.
Yep.
But no one talks about it. He's low-key really thick.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
That was faked.
That one's fake?
Yeah, it's fake.
Oh, I thought that was the one they didn't know yet. Is it officially fake?
Let me see if I can send you guys the pictures. Did you guys get my last text?
I probably ignored it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd be blocked.
But they did find this one, which was on a trail cam, which was pretty recent. Have cell phones and clear HD imagery kind of ruin the cryptid game? Maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe, you know, the cryptids also got cell phones and were able to, you know, report them.
Like Waze.
Yeah.
Like they report, no, that's a fake. That movie's a fake.
Fake.
Yeah.
Or yeah, But no, it's Bigfoot's, you know, there was a classic, there was a recent attack on a hunting cabin where everyone thought it was a black bear. But, you know, usually when black bears raid cabins, they attack fridges because the folic acid in the fridges smells to them like ant farms. What is the name? Ant
Pheromones?
hills. I forget what's
Anthills.
the group of ants called?
Colony.
Ant colony. So, and they like to eat ants, but they didn't even touch the folic acid in the fridge. So, and then there was a bunch of, you know, damage that they thought a bear could never do. And all these hunters were maybe drunk and who knows what was going on there. But there's been a ton of sightings of Bigfoot across the Pacific Northwest. And some of the footprints are, you know, they looked at the fingerprints of the footprints in some of them, and they all tend to have, the ones that are not confirmed fake, all tend to have not spiral fingerprints like humans, but straight lines that are more resembling to some of our ape ancestors.
Okay. But you're
So-
you're telling me that the classic Bigfoot footage is not real.
Yeah, unfortunately.
How do you know that, though? Did they admit it?
Yeah, they admitted the guy said he was walking around in a suit, and then they thought they found a body and they froze it in a refrigerator, but it was just another suit recently. Yeah, the thing is, gorilla suits are just a recipe for Bigfoot faking.
They're too easy to get their hands on.
Yeah, we need to start controlling
Big gorilla suit control.
But we need to regulate
common sense.
Yeah,
Gorilla costume
exactly.
control.
So we don't have those.
So it's like, this is a basic God of the Gaps principles, right? Before HT cameras and stuff, cryptids were rampant, right? But like now, like you said, it's kind of killing the game. So now the UFO stuff is starting to bubble back up because it's like a little undetectable. So it's like the shit that's out of our reach, that's where our imagination lives.
Yeah. And also some of the sensors on all these like fighter planes and stuff, like why don't we have any like HD cameras on these fighter planes? Why is it all like black and white, like heat sensor footage? I guess that's the only one that they tend to use. Or maybe they do have and they just haven't released it.
Yeah, I mean there should be. That would be just good stock footage for any flyover anyway.
Yeah.
If you want to recruit people to be in the Air Force,
True.
fucking use your stock footage or your pilots.
I'm gonna say I see a lot of selfies in fighter pilots taking selfies. I've been seeing a lot of that.
You haven't?
No, I have.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it too.
Yeah, is that loud? Are we narking on them?
We should just no, we're not narking. I mean, the government has TikTok too. People, I think, they're putting too much film out there.
True.
But respect to fighter pilots. That's one probably the most badass job that you can have. Although, when was the last time we actually got into like a fighter pilot dogfight? Yeah, would that be the Gulf War? The OG Gulf War?
No, they blew up all the planes before they could take off. Or no, what was that?
No, there was one dogfight at least in the original Gulf War.
No, that was the 7 Days War, where Israel just blew up all of Egypt's planes before they could get
the sneak attack. Yeah, the sneak attack on it. I feel like there hasn't been an actual instance of two planes, one from the United States at least, getting involved into like a physical altercation with another fighter plane in like 30 years. But we spend $35 trillion or whatever on the F-35.
The thing is, I'm still kind of down with military spending because like we do need to have the best stuff.
So you can make that argument about like our fighter, like the reason why we haven't gotten into dogfights is because they're so much better than every other plane that it's completely eliminated the even possibility of conflict.
I'm kind of down with that. It's like insurance.
And then they just become members of the Blue Angels, which are so badass. Those guys are awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. Or commercial airline pilots. And I much rather have super well-trained military airline pilots because they saturate the market and usually get hired by all the major airlines rather than like some dude who just decided to pick up flying because he needed a job.
Yep. All right. We got anything else we want to get into on this one?
I just want to say, I hope that Bigfoot exists. That would be fire,
I think
man.
he may have existed. That's what I think.
I think so. I have this idea for a movie where, well, it's just I would like to see it. I'm not going to write it or anything, or maybe I should. I don't know. But like, it's where this other evolved form of human kind of comes out of the woodworks and was like, hey, we've been watching and we've been like, we just want to negotiate a peace between the two, and then we can't find a common ground. But I just want there to be something to challenge humanity, because we're just so fucking arrogant. We do what we want and there's just no repercussions. And I just want something else, like some other species, to challenge humanity in a way that would bring out the better of us.
Why do you not want us to be on top?
Because what does that even mean? Our on top just means consumerism. Our on top means, I mean, you go to the moon and you plant a flag on it, like you own the shit. It's just weird. Our idea of on top just means consumption. So challenging humanity to be better and think more. And if you look at Avatar, for example, right?
There was a book by the same guy who wrote Jurassic Park, called Michael Crichton, called Congo, where it talks about they discovered this like different ape sort of
the city of Zinj.
Yeah, or something like that, where they found like
there's a movie about it.
Yeah. And it's like, that's mind blowing. And there were all the early accounts of, like Roman exploration to Africa always talked about like there was like these, humans that they could like they were bigger than gorillas and like kind of also like Bigfoot and Yetis. But crazy stuff.
All right. You got anything else, Arian?
And it was like the inspiration for King Kong.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, I don't got nothing else. I just think that there should be another species.
What if they live in the middle of the earth and they drive UFOs and they come out of like places like the Dragon's Triangle and Bermuda Triangle, and the reason that they've survived for so long is because the surface of the earth has all of like the meteorites, like climate change and stuff that kills stuff. The Younger's Dryas event.
I mean, you gave me a lot of what ifs right there.
What if they're already here and they're invisible and they're manipulating us
fire
all the time, and they're called angels and they're real?
And that's how sports games are settled.
Yeah. God's got the Buffalo Wild Wings overtime button. Right when it looks like our population is getting like a little too high, he smashes that Wuhan button. Boom. Maybe
yikes.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any voicemails that we want to get to, or do we want to save these for the mini dosing?
Do we do the microdosing now?
No, I mean we could. Yeah, if you want to.
I think it's called mini dosing, Billy.
I'm not doing
I didn't have time to give voicemails.
Okay, we'll save that for mini dosing.
Yeah, sorry. I've been wrapped up in the draft all day, but there is one that we didn't get to answer from last week about Arian and him giving each of us.
Right.
So Arian, last week there was a voicemail that we didn't get to answer because you weren't here, and the caller wanted to know what superpower you would give everyone on macrodosing based on their personality alone.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of pressure right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very specific, but yeah.
Yeah, it's super specific, and so how about this? How about next episode? I really think about it, or on the next mini on the
that'll be our
mini
first
dosing.
microdose.
Yeah, our first microdose is where I expound on that, because that's actually interesting. I want to put thought into it and make it creative and fun.
I like that.
Love it. Do you want to do Big T's underwear?
Yeah, why not? Let's take a crack at this
We didn't
shit.
get to do that last week either.
That's true. All right, let's go with Tennessee coming off a win. I don't think he'd do that because it wasn't a big win. You know what I mean? Let's go with navy blue.
Navy blue.
So I think they're like a different, like a weird kind of blue.
He's got like 4 different shades of navy boxers. Let's see.
That's navy
That's
blue, bro.
Navy. That's Navy.
That's navy
That's
blue,
navy.
bro. That's navy blue. We out here with it.
All right.
Are
That's,
you 2 for your last 2?
that's that volunteer
I think
connection.
so.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
you guys are in the same boat. I like that.
Tennessee keep winning. I keep guessing his draws correctly. That's what it is.
That you know what? Maybe that means that
We're
they're
gonna
going to
win
win
this
the
week.
next week.
Oh,
Right?
this could be it because they want to know.
Yep. There we go.
Here we go. Come
All right.
on.
Now Big T's
Come
pumped.
on, boys.
There we go. All right. So big news in the world of Tennessee football. Not only are they going to win, but also we're being extorted, and we love it by Tyler Barron. So Tyler,
100%.
keep pushing the
100%.
screws to us. Keep knowing your worth and negotiating until somebody tells you no.
I want this nigga to lead the SEC in sacks and mid season, like he starts to try to renegotiate because he's like, yo, listen, I know I understand we're in a contract, and I'm like, talk to me, dog. What's up?
He starts holding out on
God,
our podcast.
we need 3 sacks this week. Just
He lets his management company know that he's seeking a trade to the Joe Rogan show.
Oh man, beef. We got beef, dog.
We just end up negotiate what's that thing when they do in auctions where they're just artificially raising the price?
I think you just said it, like artificial.
Yeah, they have like fake collars.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Good episode this week, guys. We'll see you next week for a mini dosing. Or fine.
Microdosing. It's
Microdosing.
Microdosing.
All right. Love you guys.